Hey everybody, welcome to Known World United. We are tonight starting our first session of Mass Effect Aftermath. It is a D&D 5e module. It is an ongoing online project. It's an unofficial homebrew that we're using here, and we're going to be kind of exploring a few different, kind of an alternate future, I guess, is sort of a simple way of explaining it. We have four players here. We have McGowan, we have Alpha, we have Elorea, and we have Torque. And I think we're ready to start. So, we begin in 317 post-Citadel era, 317 years after the Battle of Earth. 300 years ago, a hero ended the Reaper War in a last desperate battle over Earth. To achieve victory, the legends say that this hero activated a devastating superweapon, the Crucible, that vanquished the sentient starships and their minions, putting an end to what is said to have been uncountable epochs of genocide and destruction. Victory did not come without cost, however, and many worlds of the galaxy were devastated by the armies of the Reapers before their final defeat. Not only that, but the network of mass relays, huge constructs that allow for the traversing of vast interstellar distances within the galaxy, and the Citadel, the hub of the relay network in the heart of galactic civilization, were damaged or destroyed when the Crucible was activated, cutting off many systems and star clusters from the once tightly wound threads of galactic society. Some of the relays remained functional, and many others were repaired in time using the reverse engineered technology of the Reapers. Most were rendered unreliable at best and deadly at worst, however. With the Citadel and the Citadel Council to act as a unifying force no longer being present, galactic civilization has splintered over the centuries. The old governments, like the Human Systems Alliance and the Turian hierarchy, still exist, though their reach is greatly diminished. And these once allied nations often come to blows over control of important relay systems or stranded distant resource pockets. In these places where these governments cannot easily reach, other groups, factions, and influential powers have risen, some more successful than others. All manner of states and societies have sprouted up without a monolithic galactic culture to unify them, and many of the people inhabiting these regions are the descendants of soldiers and survivors of the Reaper War from every species who were cut off and isolated in the aftermath. This has created a number of incredibly diverse and varied regions where the ancient customs of the different species have intermingled and hybridized, blurring the lines between some of the more long-standing cultural divides. The world of Omara is a backwater in the region of space, known as the Terminus Systems, a lawless and divided region in the galactic north. Omara is a world of windswept tundras, dark forests, and rocky steppes, though there are many villages and towns scattered across the planet's single massive continent. This landmass is nestled between the world's huge polar ice caps, which cover more than 50% of the planet's surface, forcing the locals to build their homes along the frigid rivers and lakes of the continent's habitable regions near the equator. The world is also home to several bustling starports in the small cities of Chongo and Port Fullstone, both also being the two largest settlements on the planet with the densest populations and the most protection. Normally, these cities are fairly wealthy and prosperous, but in recent months, the balance of power in Omara has begun to shift. Once largely left to its own devices by the powerful factions of the Terminus Systems, the Lusankian Mining Directorate has taken an increased interest in the planet as of late, and this has caused tensions and anxieties to rise in areas most frequented by the LMD, whose reputation of ruthless profiteering and plundering of worlds puts them at odds with the locals on a regular basis, particularly in Port Fullstone. Known for its fierce independence and smugglers' guild that manages to hide in plain sight regardless of the steps taken by local authorities, already there are growing signs of danger as the presence of the LMD's survey and security teams grows by the day. Alpha and McGowan, you two are just arriving in Port Fullstone, having received a job offer You've both been working together as guns for hire for a time, and you've just arrived on a passenger freighter in the main starport here, Vachi Hangar. Most of the ships are about the same size as the freighter or smaller. It's frigates. It's not for massive starships. It's for transport ships and sort of small passenger vessels. And looking around, it's a colorful community. There's lots of different people here. It's mostly Turians, humans, Batarians, humans and Batarians, especially. The architecture kind of reflects that as well. It's very angular and blocky, kind of like Batarian buildings are, but it has more windows and opening, kind of natural lighting, like humans prefer their buildings. In the starport, there are, as you guys are kind of entering, there are LMD banners kind of posted outside of 6 of these hangars, kind of down. You don't have to walk past them. You guys are coming out in one of the middle area, like of these 24 hangars. The LMD are down on kind of the far end. And if you two guys would please like to describe your character, let's start with you, McGowan.
McGowan is a human man. He's about 6 feet tall. He's got black hair pushed back. You know, it's not very long, a little bit of gray in it. He's wearing heavy armor that has been modified pretty extensively, but they're not standard mods. They're kind of custom patchwork, and it's kind of hard to tell exactly what they do. And he's looking around, just taking in the area.
Alpha, if you'd please like to describe yourself.
Oh.
You're muted, Alpha.
Darn you, technology!
Yeah. Work out the kinks early. Get it all out of the way in the first session.
So Alpha and his twin Omega are variant chassis of the Geth. They actually look like a Geth version of a Varan. The space dogs, the space wolves that you'll find commonly with Krogan. However, they do have actual Varan-looking faces versus the Geth flashlight face. But they walk around
like
on all
that.
fours. Yep, just like that, just a Geth version. And Alpha and Omega have been traveling with McGowan for a little while, going from planet to planet, job to job. And typically in new locations, they just walk around acting like they're some kind of cyber mastiff until we find a job where we actually need to go through and actually talk to people.
Cool. So you guys make your way through the spaceport. You quickly check in with the shipmaster, the Batarian woman who runs the shop. Her name is Gerald Quay, and she is a bit like Roz from Monsters Inc. She guys can make sure to leave your time there. I need to know exactly when you came in and when you're leaving again, just so that the magistrate doesn't come down on my ass. All right, just fill it out, and all will be good, and I won't have to come looking for you. She's a Batarian, so she has 4 eyes, kind of one pair down here, one pair up here. But as a female, she has kind of like coarse, thick hair that she's kind of got pulled back into a little bit of a little short ponytail. She's a little more lean of frame than a male Batarian, who typically have kind of like big, heavy jowls and stuff. But she's a little more, I guess, thin, a little more wiry looking. Maybe middle aged. And once you guys kind of check in and do your thing, she kind of just goes back to reading her data tablet, presumably some sort of gossip magazine.
So she looks
on
like
the
she's
extranet.
30 until she talks, and then she sounds like she's 90.
Yep. Got kind of that like 3 packs a day scratchy quality to it. As you guys kind of walk out into the city, city is a little bit of a strong word. It's like a small city or a large town. Maybe 30,000 people total.
The kind of place where travelers with questionable morals would find work.
Yeah, in certain fields, yes. It's it's not necessarily like a town of gunslingers where people you walk out of the hangar and there's a guy just like gunning somebody down. It's not quite wild west sort of thing, but it's it's rural and it's very like local. Everything is they deal with their problems themselves here, and there's no like larger government that has say over like how the laws are made. That's up to the locals how they kind of figure that stuff out. Um, it's midwinter here on Omara at the time, at least in this part of the continent. And the snow on the ground is almost knee deep in places, so there's lots of it's midwinter here, like here in Minnesota sometimes. But the streets are kind of plowed clear, and streets is a little they're not like paved. They're mostly sort of like gravel or dirt streets with hover cars kind of gliding along, people on hover scooters and things like that, other people walking on foot, and people on beasts of burden. There are these particular local creatures called tanal. They're like a horned horse almost, is sort of the closest comparison. They're kind of pack animals. You're kind of like riding around. And there's people
Wait. So you're telling me that this planet has unicorns?
Well, not like a unit, like more like antlers, I guess, more than horns.
Okay. Space unicorns?
More like
we
antlers.
We have unicorns?
Not yet. These are. I mean, you could make them a unicorn, but I don't know if they would be so happy about that. Because they're like, I guess, more like a gazelle kind of antler horn kind of thing.
But you're saying it's possible.
It's possible, yes. I'm not saying it's not. It doesn't exist. It's just these are not those.
So
creatures.
You're saying there's a chance.
These are not the unicorns.
There is a chance. I will.
For.
I will concede that there is a chance, and maybe if you're lucky, you'll get to go and hunt one down. Use its horn for like a pole. Wait, no, that's wrong. That's the wrong setting.
What were you about to say?
Whoa! So we're approximately 10 minutes in, and we've already gone there. All right.
And canceled. Oh,
yeah, unicorn horns—they're magical, man. You can use them for all kinds of things.
And even
but we're not
Firefly
dealing
lasts
with
longer
that.
than we
We're
did.
not dealing with magic here. We're dealing with space. Excuse me.
Science, strictly
Well,
science.
actually, anyways, so there's people. There's again, it's predominantly humans and Batarians here, but there's also a pretty significant Turian population. There are also noticeable populations of Quarians and Volus here. Quarians, interestingly enough, for those in the party and those who are watching who have played Mass Effect, they don't always have their full masks anymore. We're 300 years later. They had a relatively peaceful transition with the Geth that definitely had some hurdles that they're still working through. But by and large, the Geth have kind of used their understanding of technology and their ability to integrate with the Quarian suits to help them overcome some of their biological limitations that they had from being part of the migrant fleet for so long that made them vulnerable to infections and things like that. So not all the Quarians have their face masks on. They typically kind of have lavender or kind of lighter, like kind of purple hues of skin tone. Their eyes are either black or almost like glowing, like fluorescent, kind of like white, pink kind of colors. Very thin eyebrows, but they all still do kind of have like that the shawl kind of hood that they have over the top, and they just do still wear the suit. They just don't necessarily have the face coverings all the time. It's sort of a personal preference almost. There are Bolus here as well, and there's even a smattering of Drell walking around, and these Drell are wearing kind of like dehumidifier like face masks to kind of like help them breathe a little bit better in the moist air. Drell being pretty susceptible to more moist environments.
Thane, never forgotten.
Thane's one of the homies.
He's cool.
So
Gorilla.
you guys walking through the town, you guys are making your way towards Grease Tap, which is a small bar, like kind of a dive bar. It's a front for the Smugglers Guild. And you're going there to speak with Wayland Degree, who is a Batarian, who kind of runs this Smugglers Guild, this wing of the Smugglers Guild operation. It's not a terribly long walk, 10, 15 minutes from the hangar to Grease Tap. And Grease Tap is a pretty plain building. It's a prefab. A lot of the structures here, while they are in that sort of human Batarian vibe, they're also a lot of the old kind of Mass Effect prefabs, these metal structures that are either brought in completely pre-assembled, hence prefabs, or they're built on site in kind of very easily assembled pieces. A lot of these prefabs they look pretty old. They've been here for a while. They're not like rusting or falling apart like shanties, but they've had wear and tear. There's been many coats of paint applied to them. There's kind of awnings hanging over the doors. It's not quite as pristine as we see a lot of the prefab structures in the Mass Effect games, for example. There's wear and tear on these, and there's people living and things like that. So there's a lot more color as well. So you guys approach the door, hisses open, and that is where Torque and Elorea, you two have been here in Port Falstone for a couple of days at least, having traveled independently, just waiting to begin this job that you've both been contacted. It's apparently part of a group operation, and you've been waiting around in Grease Tap for a few days. There's a few regulars, it seems. There's a Volus who at the moment looks to be with his whole face mask, helmet, kind of pressure suit apparatus, pull one, kind of this looking guy here with that suit on. It's a little hard to tell, but he looks like he's sleeping in a hover chair. And there are a few other patrons kind of standing around in the bar. There are two Quarian women sitting at a table, kind of like just talking to each other, but trying to keep it private, it seems like. And there is 4 other people kind of hanging out. Most of them are hanging out up at front of the bar where there's a female Turian as the bartender. There's a Krogan male. He's got kind of like a mechanic's jumpsuit on, and his head plate is dark green with like yellow stripes. There's a human female. Her hair is short and red, and she's got a big scar on one cheek. There's a human male with gray patches of hair at his temples and a thick, dark mustache. And there's a gray Drell wearing one of the dehumidifier masks that kind of covers his nose and mouth. And they're all sitting up at the bar, kind of conversing. And Elorea, if you please like to describe yourself and how you're kind of taking things in here, as these 3 new individuals walk in, 2 of which are Geth, which is very rare to see.
That would be interesting, but I believe Elorea wouldn't react too adversely. She's more interested by the adversity and diversity of the world. So yeah, Elorea is an Asari. She's about 5'10", slender build, a bit elegant and long, maybe a bit gawky, but not in the way she moves or acts. She's got kind of gray lilac eyes and has a smattering of blue, what look to be freckles, but Asari are known for just having varying markings. And she's wearing some definitely not ill-fitting armor. It's quite a good fit on that armor. So she's probably enjoying a nice something or other near the bar and just listening, maybe observing, not making too much of a scene about herself.
Okay. Torque,
Yes.
what are you doing right now? And please, if you would, describe yourself.
So yeah, Torque has posted up in one of the corners. He has a stein of a drink in his hand, and he's just sort of arms crossed, taking a few sips every once in a while. Torque is a slightly above average size Krogan male. So he looks like a giant frog turtle lizard. Don't say that to his face. He has
Talk about the number one thing you do not want to say to a
You
Krogan.
look like a giant frog, turtle, lizard man. I don't know if a Krogan would know what any of those things are necessarily.
He might also punch you in the ass going through your
Or
teeth.
he might take it as a compliment. Maybe
Yeah.
he thinks people are ugly, and he's like, the more lizard-like, the better.
yeah. Thank you. He has auburn skin. And one of the first things you notice about him is that it looks like he had like a shockwave hit him right in the forehead, and he's got scars that stem back on his big, broad Krogan forehead. He's wearing gray armor with dark purple accents. And he's just casually standing in a corner, looking around, sipping on his brew.
Forget about his big hammer.
Sipping on his gin and juice.
Oh yeah, strapped to his back.
My mind on the Asari and the Asari on my mind.
Oh God, he's too quick. He's too quick.
Let me describe my hammer.
Well, once again, we've been canceled because we've gone there.
Let me
Yes,
tell
we
you
would
about
love
my
to hear
Krogan
about
I mean,
hammer.
there are podcasts on this network, and I feel like that if they're not canceled, we're fine.
Okay.
Please tell us about
Ember
your hammer
Poppy,
in great
yes.
detail.
That's what I wanted to say.
So its shaft is quite long. No, it looks like a warhammer, but you'll notice something about it is that it's got a giant claw on one side of it. So where most of the warhammers that you've seen in Mass Effect are kind of blocky and square, this one has a giant claw on the other side of it. Like one big, yeah, like a claw hammer.
Yeah, the big.
So like the classic
spike.
ones where it's got the blunt end on one edge and then it's got the piercing end on the other.
Precisely, yeah.
I straight up thought it was like a claw.
Yeah.
Like what?
Not that.
As he's sitting there at the bar, he just takes his hammer out, reaches behind, starts scratching his back.
I mean,
He's actually holding the beer with it.
He's still good use it for that, I mean.
Oh my God.
So you guys are sitting.
That's
in
actually
here,
what he's doing. If you see him right then, he's like, "Ugh, ugh."
getting between the plates. So the female Turian, who is the bartender, she's sitting there. She's kind of sitting back on a stool, reading a data pad in one hand, and in the other hand she's holding a cup of chuta, which is it's a kind of tea that's infused with like a local alcohol that's brewed from a hearty dark green tuber called the chuisu. So it's like she's got kind of like a vodka tea kind of drink, and she's kind of like sipping on that. Kind of occasionally her mandibles kind of like fluttering a little bit, just kind of absentmindedly.
That was what?
Yeah.
She sounded like my kind of girl up until you started talking about the mandibles.
Turians got mandibles, man. They got mandibles.
Mandibles.
They got mandibles.
They do. This is true.
They prefer to be described as having a wider range of facial expressions.
It's actually wider, physically wider range of facial expressions. So after McGowan, Alpha, and Omega, you all three of you walk in. McGowan comes in kind of with these two Geth dog kind of constructs. And Geth can, if any, Geth aren't super common, but they're ubiquitous enough these days where it's pretty would be common knowledge that they come in a variety of mobile platforms. Some are bipedal, some are like quadrupedal, others are designed for more specific tasks. It just sort of depends on the form. So even though these are, you've never seen anything like these before, doesn't strike you as too strange, but it is kind of interesting that there's this human coming in with these two sort of Geth mastiffs, like one kind of on either side of him. And as you guys find your seats,
So
McGowan,
just to clarify, sorry, Alpha and Omega are quadrupeds?
yes, they
Yep,
are.
we
They're
look
sort of
like-
like Varen kind of Geth kind of creatures.
Okay.
Yeah, like
Tight.
Mike, you want to show that Varen
Yeah.
picture again?
Yeah, I'll pull up a Varen picture, and this is what
It's
an
pretty
actual Varen looks like, but
So
it's
like a robotic version of that.
Yeah, robotic, a Gethy kind of version of that.
Like in the Mass Effect games, they're kind of like wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Attack
maybe
dogs
dire wolves.
Yeah. Like the
Yeah.
Krogans commonly use them
Yeah.
for attack dogs.
Well, I knew you were a combination of the two. I just didn't know if you were more Geth than Varen. But
No, he's a Geth that looks like a Varen is sort of how it.
Yeah,
I guess would be the
for
simplest way of describing it.
Okay.
For the people that don't know the lore as much, the Geth are actually artificial intelligences. So we're programs. So the body is just a chassis that we upload into.
Yep. So you can have different bodies and things.
Like I could go to like a Geth central hub and download myself out and put myself into a new body if I really wanted to. So for us, the body is just it. However, we are conscious. So when we're put into a body and that body is destroyed, so is our program.
Awesome.
Yep. Since Geth became true artificial intelligences, it's changed some of the structure of their like network and stuff. But as you guys find your seats, a Batarian walks out of the back, kind of this looking guy, and he goes over to the table where the two Quarians are sitting, and they're two Quarian females, sort of in that general aesthetic. And anybody who has a passive insight of better than a 12, which I think is everybody. I think it's everybody, actually. Yeah, so if anybody's listening, or you would just hear kind of in the background, even if you're not paying attention to it, a conversation begin, not whispered, but in low tones between the Batarian and the two Quarians. And the Batarian kind of walks over and puts his hands on his hips and says, I got together what I could, but we don't get much traffic from people using Renar out here. I can only pay half. If you'll take Alliance or Republic credits, I can pay the full fee. The two Quarians kind of exchange looks from behind their faceplates. Are you kidding? Only half? Says one of them. One of them has a green like hood, and the other has like a very dark blue. And it's the dark green one who's responding initially. Well, it can't be helped. Like I said, most people who come through here aren't spending Quarian credits. It's all I've got. You can take it or leave it. Maybe we should take a look in the back and make sure he's not screwing us, is the second Quarian. The Batarian kind of leans forward and puts one hand on the table, and he doesn't kind of like loom over anybody, but he just kind of gets in. Let's try it. My wife, and he motions over his shoulder with his thumb at the Turian at the bar. Myself and the four folks over at the bar will fill you with so many holes you'll see daylight coming out the other side. Take the offer, get out, and never threaten me in my bar again. The two Quarians kind of look at each other, look up at the Batarian, and one of them reaches out her three-fingered hand and kind of pulls the credit chit in and pockets it, and they both stand up. Yeah, and these are it's presumably some kind of mercenary or some contracted hired gun. They've both got like rifles on their back and like pistols on their hips, but they don't have like crazy They're not kitted out like McGowan or Torque or any of you other guys. So they pocket the money, put it in a pouch, and make their way out of the bar. And once they're gone, the Batarian, who Rhea, you know as Wayland Gree, he kind of looks around and motions at each of the four of you individually, or the five of you, I guess, with Alpha and Omega. Kind of pauses for a second and he looks around, spends a moment kind of like eyeing the sleeping Bolus, just sort of like going like, passed out again. And motions for all four of you to follow him into the back. And he turns around and heads into a back room.
I'll get up and head over.
Yep, I'll follow with McGowan, or we will.
I'll go last just to not block anyone's view.
I was going to go last. Fine. I
You
reluctantly
both-
go in front of the Krogan.
You both get to the doorway and kind of
After
have this
you.
moment where you're. No, you first.
No, after you. No, after you. No, I insist.
Krogan live a long time. I'll wait.
So sorry. Oh.
Yeah, and this is just a standoff forever.
It's everyone else dies. Everyone else in the room
I
is
suppose
dead.
Geth does too, so
200
McGowan
years
is the only
later.
one who's a
No,
threat here.
no, I insist.
500 years later, the building there's no roof. All the walls are rusted, and you two are still standing there waiting to
My
get
bones have turned to
After
dust.
After
you.
I
Please.
said I
Don't worry,
insist.
McGowan. Wait, hold on.
Everyone else is a skeleton.
Yeah.
Don't worry, McGowan. We will make sure your remains go to the nearest processing center.
And the two Varen Geth are just sitting there like, just like, oh my god. Anyways, so
I'll just go.
so once
Well, all right. Okay.
So once you guys, all four of you, all five of you, again, gonna have to get used to that. You're all back in his office. You know, it's not a massive office, but it's not like you guys are squished up against each other. He closes the door. It's a kind of pressurized sort of sliding door, and pulls up his
So
Omni
sorry, I
tool.
missed like the last couple seconds.
Oh, you guys just are in his office.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are there any other doors? Or are there only one?
There is one other door, but it's open right now, and it looks like it goes into a kitchen. Kind of back
Follow-up
behind the
question.
bar.
In this particular room, is there just a desk and a black couch, or is there more furniture than that?
There is a desk. There's a couple of like kind of metal chairs, and there's like a terminal, like a hard light terminal at the desk there. There's a few like what I guess would be like storage containers for who knows, they're closed at the moment,
Bodies.
so they don't look like they're big enough, although they might be big enough for a Volus, or if you squished a Hanar enough, the jellyfish, right, but it's not, it's sort of organized chaos in here. Everything's like just a little dirty. Nothing is like, it's the crates that you see in here aren't like, there's one on top that's sort of like slightly like off center and the lid's kind of open, and it's not pristine in here. It's sort of a little messy, but everything kind of looks like it has its place. So he pulls out his Omni tool, and for those who are not aware, an Omni tool is just kind of like a hard light device that can kind of materialize around either of your arms, is sort of preference, and it works as like, basically it's like a computer, cell phone, smartphone, like all in one device that you can use for a whole ton of different things. And he kind of goes through, and as he's going down the line, looking, kind of meeting each of you, his 4 eyes, which you notice the top 2 of his eyes are actually blind, kind of milky white. The bottom 2 are still functional. He kind of like pulls up on his Omni tool like images of each of your faces, kind of compares them and goes over things, just kind of like confirms everybody is who they say they are.
Is everyone who they said they were?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, I was just wanted to check.
Based on what I can see here, everybody, the pictures match. I can't, maybe you had some surgery or something, but Krogan, I can't see that being terribly easy with those big head plates you've got there. And
oh God.
Well,
Activating Varan response. Bark, bark. End response.
That's interesting. Never seen a robot dog like that before. We've got those Fenris mechs sometimes, but that's something I ain't ever seen. All right. Well, you learn something new every day, I guess. Well, anyways, for those of you who don't know, I'm Wayland Gree, and I run this branch of the Smugglers Guild, and we've got a problem that I think the 4 of you can solve. I don't know if you noticed coming in, but there's an awful lot of LMD folks running around, the mining directorate. Now, normally we don't like to cross paths with them too much. They've got a little too much money and a little too much firepower for what people, us out here in the sticks can muster up to contend with. But they're moving in, and well, even though the Smugglers Guild is not necessarily on the complete right side of the law around here, we're just as disinterested as seeing the LMD take root as the law is. And the law is not going to really do much about this problem until it's too late, I fear. They're going to let this get a little out of proportion if we don't do something now. So that's why I contacted the 4 of you. We've got a short list of mercenaries, hired guns and such. You've all done some work for us in the past, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to take this, since I thought you might be some of the best candidates for the job based on your skill sets. There's an LMD outpost here, an office that, for the most part, nobody really has been coming and going too much from. There was about 8 people stationed there for the last 7 years with very little activity until recently, which gets me thinking that maybe they just made a discovery of some kind, something that would bring them in, because in the last few weeks, or even a few days, Ray and our Krogan friend here, you've seen them coming and going a lot more. Seen those black and yellow banners and all their armor and weapons kind of moving through the town, heading out and into the wilderness. I need you to find out where they're going. And now I'm willing to pay, and we can negotiate a contract, but I thought I would offer you in person, since this is with the LMD involved. I didn't want it to be communicated too heavily on open channels.
So you want to pay us to tell you where they're going? And that's
I
it?
want you to find out where they're going, and if it seems like you can deal with it, deal with it.
Deal with it.
And a few other
How often
things.
are these
My
shipments
favorite
heading
kind
out
of-
from the outpost?
That's going to get me every time.
You get used to it.
I suppose you would. I've seen Stranger, that's for sure.
Question
Let me be
repeat.
clear.
How often do these shipments go out from the outpost?
They go out every once a week. And just so happens that we've got one going out tonight. Now, if you want to hang around for a few more days, do a little bit of recon, I won't stop you. But there is a shipment going out at 8 p.m. local time. And for reference, that would be about 6 hours from now. Early afternoon right now. And I guess I should just clarify, because we are in space and time, planets have different orbits and things like that. I am going to just be using standard solar time and just publicity's sake. So, they go out once a week, and there's one going out tonight. It's usually a small convoy, 2 trucks, 2 armored trucks, and a transport vehicle, all of them armed and with at least two LMD troopers as escort. We don't know where they're going, but they head out of town along the main road, and we need to find out what they may have discovered out there. If it's something that's going to keep bringing them in, we need to quash it as quickly as possible. We don't want their kind around here coming in and bringing the hammer down and dragging folks off to labor camps and things like that. They're often keen to deal with.
We don't need to keep them alive.
No. But if you're gonna start some shit, be thorough. Don't leave too much evidence behind.
She does a quick tap on her little Kisha harpoon gun and just kind of it'll be okay.
Which is exactly why I reached out to you, Ray.
These are the kind of vague instructions I can get behind.
Question: how long have these transports been happening?
But going back about 2 months now, and it started slow, but especially in recent weeks, the last couple of weeks in particular, they've really increased traffic. The LMD outpost is swarming with guards now, and they've got permanent bays over in the hangar, and they don't show any signs of leaving. And when the LMD gets made clear that it is not worth. So I need you to. However, I will say this: no matter how you deal with this, if it's something that they really want, we might be getting into some shit. So if you can bring me back, and if after this job, if you want to stay on and continue helping me deal with the LMD, we can keep discussing contracts, payment things. If you can find one, bring me back an LMD security office, have a little bit of leverage if we need to gather some intel later on. Can use it to maybe get into their office. So if you can find that, I'd throw in an extra credit amount. Now, standard fee for a dangerous mission like this would be 50,000 credits per agent. But if you find me that passkey, I'll throw in an additional 15,000 for each of you. It's not a fortune, and I know that there are jobs out there that are not as dangerous and might pay you more, but you all seem like the right kind of people we need for this. You have the right skills, and you've got a good reputation with the guild, so the job's yours if you want it.
Clarification. So you wish us to retrieve information of where they are going? If we are to eliminate the issue of where they are going, will the payout be the same?
Yes, it would be that 50,000. If it's again, unless it seems like it's suicide, I'd like you to deal with it.
We might as well wipe them out.
What's important though is what's most important is finding out where they're going and getting that key. Because if we can get that key, we can get access to some other their office if we need it, or whatever may be in there in the camp. If the camp is too much for you all to deal with in one go, bring me that pass key and we can have better odds for next time. Get past security, things like that. But they're hauling an awful lot of gear out there, and those transport trucks are not small. So they're setting something up. We need to know what it is and why they're interested in it, and if anyone in that camp that you can help, workers or anything.
Inquiry. Do you have vehicle transportation for us to use on this mission?
Gave them a little bit of an opportunity for vengeance. LMD's not known to treat their workers well.
Hmm?
I was like, I think Alpha had a question.
Sorry, I thought.
Sorry, I lagged there.
Inquiry, do you have transportation for us to use for this mission?
As a matter of fact, I do. It's not mine, but if you head out into town, you will ask around for Vericor's barters. He'll have something for you to use. He owes me a favor. Tell him I sent you. He'll hook you up. Tell him you're doing business for the guild, and he'll get it all squared away for you. He's usually got a couple of things over in his garage.
Sounds like an excellent plan. And as long as these three can hold their own, I've seen that Torque and I obviously can get the job done. So I don't think this will be a problem.
That's good to hear.
This unit has no further questions. This unit neither.
This unit neither.
All my
Good to
questions have been
hear.
answered.
All right. Well, you've got some time to kill. Plenty of time to
Literally.
go over and speak to Grom, Vericor Grom, Krogan, old bastard, but he'll do you right if you tell him I sent you. Might have a few other things you could buy off him that might be useful for this. It's pretty good stock. He's got one of the sort of surplus stores around here.
It's hard to say no to a good deal, sir.
Ain't that the truth? He kind of looks up at all of you after like just a few seconds. Like, well, is that everything? Any more questions, or are you guys going to get out of here?
This unit has no further questions. This one neither.
Great. I've got work to do now. Go on. Come back. If you need to check in before you leave, if you have any more questions, feel free to come by. But if you're heading out tonight, 8:00, might not be a bad idea to go and check out the LMD outpost. Don't get too close, though. There's a lot of guards over there.
Okay.
So he
Why
kind
do I
of,
want to get close to it?
I don't know, just if you get too curious, I don't know, don't get killed is all. Do whatever you want, but don't mess around too much, because those guys won't stand for too much screwing around. The LMD take their shit seriously. Now get out of here. I got work to do. He kind
I
of
open the door for everybody to leave so I can be last again.
door hisses open as you kind of punch in a little code on the pad next to the door.
Beep, boop, beep.
You guys walk out. Grom,
As I pass you, I give you a little bit.
So the five of you find your way out kind of back out into the streets. You've got some time to kill. You've got a couple of leads, things to check out maybe before setting out on this job. What do you want to do?
Ooh.
Well, if nobody else,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say if nobody else has anything, I want to go and take a look at the vehicles that we might be able to get.
Vehicles first before surplus store?
Are they not the same place?
Yeah, they're the same place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, let's head there. Let's head to the supplies.
Okay.
Doot, 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 doot.
So walking through the streets, again, it's very snowy here this time of year. It is snowing lightly as you walk through, and there's, as mentioned, all kinds of people here, and streets are busy but not like packed and extremely noisy. And there's a good mix of both vehicles and animals and people walking on foot, and there are Varen kind of sleeping underneath like awnings and stuff here and there, and it's there's a lot of activity going on. You do see kind of winding your way, you do towards the surplus store, you do walk within visual range of what is which can be nothing else than the LMD outpost. The black and yellow banners are on display. There are LMD guards who are all in like black and yellow armor. It's predominantly black, but it's kind of got gold, yellow highlights. They're all wearing helmets, so you can't see their faces. Kind of, where is it? A little like this.
Sick.
And they're not really interacting too much with like the locals or people who are walking by, but they are definitely like those who are on guard and patrolling or standing their posts, pretty like militaristically.
Question. Does their security look light, standard, heavy?
It looks pretty heavy. Make a perception check just to kind of get a more detailed assessment.
Oh, this is the first NPC or the
First
player
roll
die
of the
roll.
game. First roll of the game.
It wasn't that good.
No, you've ruined everything.
13.
Your first roll is a 13? We're cursed.
This campaign's about to get
Well, it's been nice playing with y'all.
Oh, okay.
So you see a few guards. You see that there's at least like one pair patrolling, and most of the LMD guards look to be human, Turian, Batarian. There's a couple of Krogan in there. Like it just, or it's a good mix, but it's not a lot of like. You don't see too many Solarians. At least you don't see any Solarians with the few guards that you see again. So you just see like a pair patrolling. You see another pair kind of on post outside what looks to be like the front door, and you see kind of the back of a couple of guys as you walk by on what looks to be like the back side of the building, and you can see the nose of a big like military truck kind of sticking out from behind the corner of the building, but you don't catch anything else. So it's it looks like they've got equipment here. It's definitely not like unmanned, but you only really saw like 5 or 6 people.
okay.
A few more minutes go by, and eventually you find yourself out in front of the surplus building. It is called Vericor's Barters and Surplus, and it's a really big kind of like half cylinder like garage almost. It's got like one big front door that's open, and you can see kind of out right in front of what's like kind of a side door are 2 Varen who are sleeping. One of them has kind of a blue stripe down its back, and the other one has a big red stripe down its back. And just peering in through the garage, you see a big 6-wheeled like rover tank thing. This is the Mako. However, this Mako, just by looking at it, this is not a shiny new Mako. This is an old, kind of battered Mako that's been around for a while.
Great.
It's got kind of like armor plates like welded on in places. The hubcaps on the rover wheels like don't match. Some of them like and there's also the gun turret in particular stands out because it has like a side carriage on it, like a cage on the side of the gun.
Yes.
Those cages will totally protect you from bullets. Yes.
So, and it's just, and like you see it kind of sitting there, and you guys walk up.
I thought we put the Krogan in there.
To walk up.
I was going to say
coming
they
out.
look like they're perfect for hanging off of while it's moving at high speeds.
Kind of coming as you guys walk up out from behind one of what looks like kind of this is sort of a local reference, but the Axeman You know, this is like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
This is like
Yeah,
that, but in space. So there's like tons of shelves, and they're sort of organized. It's kind of mostly just a bunch of stuff just kind of piled on that is sort of all vaguely in the same category. It's organized, but it's not like alphabetized or anything. You know, it's like I need
More sorted by color.
I need a connecting cable. Well, every single connecting cable is in a giant rat's nest, all tangled together in one big pile, like over there somewhere. And
So it's like Axeman.
that's what I just said.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I just said that. It's like it's a bit of a local reference, but it acts like the Axeman. And
That's hilarious. I totally missed that.
so you see this Krogan kind of like walk out, and this is presumably Veracor Grom. He's an older Krogan. He's older than you. He's not ancient though by any means. You know, he's for Torque. You know, you look at him and you probably gauge he's early 800s. You know, he's definitely got some wear and tear, especially for even for a Krogan. But he's by no means like elderly or feeble or anything. You know, he's not as tall as you, but he's bigger in the shoulders, so he's kind of like a almost like square, like a square Krogan almost.
Nice.
And he's in like kind of another
boxy
very
boy.
similar kind of like mechanics jumpsuit kind of a thing. The sleeves are rolled up, and he's got his armor is the plating that kind of covers his back and arms is unarmored, and you can kind of like he's in a little more like he's in clothes. He's not in armor, so he's not quite as like hulking as an armored Krogan is, but he's still a really big creature. You know, he's a Krogan, so.
Wow.
You guys,
So he looks like he could throw down a good breeding if it came down to it.
yeah, you know, if he was ever if it was ever convenient for him, he could do that. So
Oh,
he doesn't seem to have noticed you guys as you walk up. You know, he's kind of
rude.
doing some work on something. It looks like.
I'll turn to McGowan and say,
Yeah. We should look for a tracking device or tracking utensils that we could use to track the truck as it goes out into the desert.
It's a good point. Utensils is an odd word choice, but I know what you mean.
Point has been made.
Do we see anything like that on the shelves?
You'd have to go and look. You guys are still outside of the building. You're kind of you can see this through the doors, basically.
Gotcha.
There's one big like garage door, and then there's like a smaller kind of like normal sideways opening hissy door, as I'm going to call them from now on.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't help but think of the doors from Hitchhiker's Guide. Anyway.
So you guys go in, I presume?
yes.
Yeah.
Start looking around? Okay, so we'll go around here. What if anybody have anything specific they want to look for? Or do you guys just want to head over and talk to Grom?
I want to look for tracking utensils. And
Okay.
I'd like to look for guns.
Guns. Okay.
And guns.
They're
Guns.
looking around. There are the guns that are here are all pretty standard, or they're very worn. You know, it's a lot of Avengers and kind of run of the mill weapons. There's nothing very,
Experienced.
yeah, I mean it's you're buying
well used.
Yeah, well used weapons. Yeah, nothing. And it's again, this is like a used surplus kind of store. So like looking around, everything is kind of in this state. You know, so yeah, there's there's even like some of the bigger like pieces of like electrical components and stuff are just like sitting on the ground, where presumably whoever brought them here just like set them, and that's just kind of where they've been left.
Nice.
You know, it's like, there's room here, we'll just leave it. Okay, so yeah, the weapons you find are
Um,
all pretty sub quality. None of them are anywhere near as good as anything that you've got.
Yeah, we're
And
not gonna find like a cool mod lying around that we wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, but you do see things like there. He does have a wall-mounted Metagel dispenser. Um, there are some canisters of Omnigel on some of the shelves. There are other kind of bits and kind of a lot of sort of loose electrical components and things. There are cook's utensils. There are gaming sets. There are medical kits and tinker's tools, kind of in amongst all the stuff. Most of it is again loose components for things, but there are some sort of specific usable items in there.
How much are the Omni gels going for?
The Omni gels, the price, the kind of digital price tag that's sort of like hovering there. They're 1,000 per canister.
Okay, I will pick up 3.
Okay, so you kind of, with your paw, kind of scoop them down and sort of store them away with your kind of weird dexterous geth parts. And so you've got the 3 Omni gel there.
I would also like to grab some Omni gel.
Okay, how many would you like?
Is there there's just a bunch?
Yeah, there's a bunch just lying around. It's not like an infinite amount, but there's there's a decent amount.
I'll grab 4 Omni gel.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys kind of bundle up all of your Omni gel and kind of hang on to it until you are ready to pay.
Omnigel is different from Metagel, isn't it?
Yes, Omnigel is for tech stuff. Metagel is for potions. It's potions basically.
Yeah, basically
in space.
I
think of it like living versus non-living.
Gotcha.
I would like to get one of those gaming sets.
Okay. Gaming sets are pretty cheap. They're 100 Galactic standard credits. You know, it's like $10 basically.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like a travel gaming set. You know, you can play like a few different games with it. And
so theoretically, if you're proficient with Tinker's tools, could you modify the gaming set to make loaded dice?
I think it's more the gaming set that we have here is more of like a projector that has like a few different games that you can like pull up, and they sort of like hard light projections.
So then you need like an engineer to be able to cheat at that.
That's Star Wars, Steve. That's a different game. You know, just a different thing.
It just pulls up like a holographic version just of Pong though.
Yep.
Like it's just like
hard light Pong.
It's a 3D,
you have 2 Wii
2D
remotes
game,
and you're ponging back and forth.
It's just like the oldest game, but a hologram. Like
it's like it works like the Kinect. So you're standing there with your Omni tool, just going like this, with just going back and forth with your arm. It's interactive.
No. It's between your 2 hands. It's between your 2 hands, and you're knocking it back and forth.
Single player Pong. When you play Pong by yourself.
My left hand always loses.
I try and play balanced, but I can't manage it. My left hand's a little slower, and it's not as straight.
I want to approach Varicor Grom.
Okay, so you see Grom. He's kind of like looks like he's reorganizing, if you can call it that, like one of the shelves. As you approach.
Are you the one they call Varicor Grom? And then I give him a big smack on the shoulder.
And he looks at, he's got like these really dark green eyes. He kind of looks up at you like, yeah, that's me, Varicor Grom. You need anything? Kind of comes up to his full height. Which is a little like,
I believe my
it's not as tall.
What?
I believe my compatriots are shopping for your wares.
All right. Are you buying anything? Are you buying anything?
Do you have Metagel?
Yeah, there's a dispenser over on the wall. I don't know how many charges it's got left on it, though, for a while. But whatever's left you can have if you got the credits.
I'll take a look.
All right, sounds good. Just come find me when you're ready to pay for your stuff. Kind of goes back to poking around at the shelf, kind of talking to himself.
Thought you had more to say than that.
Well, yeah, I was
No.
like, can I ask him about his time here?
Yeah, it's fine. I've been here for a while. Been here since after the war.
Ah,
Don't know how. Don't. How old are you? You survive?
how old am? Oh no, I'm quite young. I'm only 260. I'm quite young.
You missed it. Lucky.
Came around after.
You've been here for a while. Got stuck out here after the relays got damaged and just decided it was good enough, I suppose.
Well,
We're
whatever
living a
makes you
good
happy.
life out here.
Yeah, it's quiet. Nobody tells me what to do, which is it's perfectly fine. Just got
Did you
my.
make it into the mating rounds, or have you opted out?
No, I didn't go home.
Ever?
No, I haven't been back in a while. I mean, I'm Krogan. I lived for a really long time. I can just go back later, I guess. Didn't really. Look, when you've been around as long as I have, and you had to deal with the genophage for as long as we did, you sort of get used to just wandering and being sort of independent. You didn't used to be a whole lot to go back home to, so just sort of.
Things have changed. There might be someplace comfortable for you back in Tachonga.
Yeah, maybe, but too much politics on Tachanka for me. Too much clan infighting. I kind of like to keep to myself out here in the frontier.
Well,
You know
that's
what I
precisely
mean.
why I'm here.
Yeah, well, you understand then.
Nothing ill to be said of a wanderer's life.
No, not certainly. Not that I do much wandering. More just sort of decided to stay after I got stuck out here for 30 years. But that was over 300. That was over. It was about 300 years ago now, so I'm over it, I suppose. Anyways, anything I can get you folks? Need anything?
So I turn to McGowan and say,
We should inquire to see if LMD is getting their supplies from Vic or Grom, or if he knows where they're coming from.
Have you had any dealings with the LMD?
No. None of the stuff I got here is anything they want. It's all secondhand for the most part. They got the money for fancy new stuff back from the Corps. That's where they get all those vehicles and their guns and armor and stuff. They haven't come by at all. Pay me no mind.
Would you say they deserve to be here?
Well, given what I've heard about them, I'm not thrilled that they're around, but maybe it's nothing. I don't really know too much about them personally. I kind of, like I said, keep to myself.
Tell us what you've heard.
No, they've been moving in recently. They're more people than usual. They've had an outpost in town for a long time. They've got survey teams, I guess, all over the place, kind of looking for new places to mine for resources and populations to enlist in their workforce, I guess. It's all stuff I hear, over drinks and things. But
that's all they're doing is mining?
Well, that's what they're known for, is Lusankia Mining Directorate. So they, I would think, do quite a bit of that. But they're more of a government than just a company. For a long time now, from what I know, and they've got their fingers in all kinds of pots. And they got many ways of making their money, from what I've heard. But I don't know too much about it, not firsthand, anyways.
Nothing wrong with finding ways to make money.
People of this planet?
What was that, Torque?
Are they exploiting the people of this land, of this planet?
Not that I know yet, but from what I hear, it happens often enough. It's a danger, I suppose, but they've not done anything like that, as far as I know, so far. They've just been running caravans out somewhere out in the wilderness. Don't know where, but you see the trucks coming through every few days.
What right do they have to set up outposts wherever they please?
Well, they've got guns and they've got an army and warships and things. So unless you've got those to get in their way, they kind of go where they please. And out here in the terminus systems, I don't know how long you've been out here, but there's not many groups that would start an open war. Most people are more inclined to keep to themselves unless there's something really that they're very invested in. Last time there was a war out in the terminus systems, that wasn't the Reaper War. It was small scale, just mercenary bands fighting amongst themselves over control of different systems and things like that. And it used to happen all the time back in the old days. Did a fair bit of it myself, but mining directorate, they're LMD. They're basically a government more than they are a corporation at this point. They used to just be a small mining operation, but they grew and grew and grew. Eventually, now they are what they are.
Is this their planet of origin?
No, Lusankia. Closer to the core.
That's
Not out here in the terminus systems. It's in the traverse. A little more inward.
Is
Is is
What?
You had a question.
You said is.
I know,
We're
and then
all waiting.
I tossed it. I tossed the question. No, I guess I meant to ask. I feel like this has already been a bit answered, but just if their movement outwards was quite unnatural, like for them to be coming this far out and to be like, obviously we're contacted about it. It's something's odd, but
Yeah, it's the first time they've really taken too much notice out here. They've had an outpost in town for a long time with a small survey team who would kind of come and go and travel around to different places on the planet, I assume, looking for things of interest. And I guess they found something. Otherwise, I can't see why they would be so interested otherwise in all this activity that's been going on here recently, the last couple months.
Hey Dan, I just sent you a message.
Oh, I didn't see it.
So it looks like you've got some Omnigel. Your Kenny looks over at you, Torque. You getting that Metagel? Anything else you folks need?
well, I bought that gaming set.
Oh, right. Well, let's see here. All right. He pulls out his Omni tool, and you two exchange credits over the kind of the extranet, which is kind of the Mass Effect version of the internet. It's a galaxy-wide network rather than just kind of like in one planet. But because the galaxy is a little more broken up than it used to be, because not all the relays have two-way connections anymore. Some of the extranet is sort of like it's pocketed. It's like there's an extranet over in this part of the galaxy is a little different than the extranet over in this part of the galaxy because it's.
And yet, for some strange reason, all texting still goes through AOL.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Unless you have a VPN, and then you can connect to other like networks in other parts of the galaxy, and you can watch shows like from other. You can watch Turian TV shows in human space. It's great.
Oh, cool. Super cool.
So how much Metagel can I get here?
You go over to the Metagel, and there are 4 charges on it, and the way these machines work, Metagel machines are they're not everywhere, but for somebody like yourself who's been in a lot of combat situations, the way they work is they have a certain number of charges per day before they have to kind of like remake more of the Metagel. So this has 4 charges left in it. It looks like before it's out. And the charges are standard 2,500 galactic credits.
I don't know if we ever decided how much I have.
That would be under your race,
Starting.
the racial trait. There's starting credits, so you'd have to roll for that,
Ooh,
and that
okay.
would tell you how much it is. But everybody
see
else,
here.
Alpha, you're
I
paying for
I figured out my
3,000.
starting credits. Don't worry
Yep.
about me.
Yeah, you're paying 3,000.
Yes.
McGowan, you're paying 4,000.
I paid like 100.
Ray, you paid 100 for the gaming set, and Torque, you're paying however much. I don't
So
know. We don't know
Torque,
yet.
for Krogan, your starting creds is 10d4 times 1,000 plus 10,000. So basically, you roll a 1d4, take it times 10, then take that times 1,000, then add an extra 10,000. That's not what you start with.
Sick.
Because the Mass Effect credit system is crazy inflated compared to one credit is like one gold basically, I think, or it's like one credit's 100 gold.
And to be fair, under the module, the classes say that instead of your starting credits, you can start with this equipment instead. So
yeah, well,
at level 1, you do either or. We're at level 3, so it kind of bumps us up.
Well, I just sort of figured you guys would have some money coming into this, being that
because we're heroes,
or just hired guns at least, the very least.
Well, I feel like Torque would
Or
definitely
hired
have
for
a
other
lot of money.
things.
Well, just go with the
everyone's
roll.
a hero in their own mind.
In their own way.
Do the roll thing there. Because, you've got a lot of money, you might spend it on stuff. You'd spend it to get here. You'd spend it on your drink from earlier.
An expensive drink.
Mm-hmm. Probably not ring coal, though. Ring coal is a Krogan alcohol that actually, kills other people that aren't Krogan if you drink it, so...
Krogan Grom, do you have any devices used for tracking?
You mean like a tracer or something like that?
A tracking device that could be used, that could be applied to one particular item and or object that we could locate upon a particular module?
I don't have anything specific, but you might be able to look through the electrical components and things I've got lying around and put something together.
Do you have viewfinders and or old school telescopes?
I might have a few of those. Come on over this way. And he kind of leads you over there, and you trot along after him in your dog form. And you managed to find how much? What's the sort of a quantity? What are you looking for?
A single particular unit to go through and track one particular target.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say you'd find enough electrical components to put that together. You have to do a little bit of looking around and digging and kind of wandering around the store to find all the pieces you need. Because again, it's barely organized chaos. It's mostly just chaos. So it takes some time to find the stuff you're looking for. But yeah, I'd say you could find enough to jury rig something. Yeah, it wouldn't be pretty, but you got the parts you need.
Would I have enough parts to be able to go through and create like a small launcher for it? So, for example, like if, say, this truck was leaving and this Varn happened to be on the side of the road that happened to just spit this tracker onto this truck as it was going by, would I have the parts for that?
That roll an investigation check for that one.
Ooh, second roll of the session.
Because that's a little more specific and I think a little more mechanically complicated than kind of plugging stuff into each other.
All right, so investigation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not proficient. But that's still a 16.
Hey.
Well, I get a +4, so that helps.
Sure, yeah. You find what you're looking again. It's pretty crude, and you don't think you'd be able to get more than probably a couple of uses out of it before you'd have to kind of start putting it back together. But
we would only need one use out of it anyway.
Yeah, you'd probably get it to work at least one time.
Okay.
Anyway, for the record, I buy with the Metagel.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to turn around and ask.
Does anybody else need Metagel?
All good.
I think me.
Split it with me, Elaria.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
So
Got you.
how many do you want to buy?
With that
How many-
voice mod, that does not sound how it should sound. Hey, baby.
Or
You want to split this Metagel?
Or I'll buy all 4 for myself. I just thought I would offer.
No, that sounds absolutely fine. We can split it down the middle.
All right, so it's there's 4 charges total, 2,500 a piece. That's 5,000 credits for each of you. And you just kind of go over there and you kind of touch your Omni tool to the dispenser, and you kind of beeps, beeps, and you've each got 2 charges of Metagel, or 2 more charges in addition to the 2 you should have started with.
I know I phrased that weird. I didn't mean like split it. I meant like you can have 2 and I'll take 2.
Okay, so you guys were sent over here to inquire about a vehicle, and there is a vehicle.
Yes.
The Mako.
Yeah.
It's not the Mako M35. It is a slightly newer model that existed like right around the time that the war started, the Reaper War. So it's like an M40. So it's a slightly newer model, but it is still 300 years old. So
Sick.
it's a 300-year-old rover.
So as we are getting all settled up, I'll sort of. Are we like standing by a counter, or are we just kind of like standing?
It's all been doing. He's all been doing the transactions on his Omni tool. You know, there's no like front desk. He's just kind of standing there. Boop, 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 boop. Yep.
There's no cash registers in the future.
Well, that's not necessarily true.
But you know,
because I mean, if you play Mass Effect 2,
that's
discounts, true. All the discounts, man. This
is
my favorite store on the Citadel. I'm Commander Shepard. This is my favorite store on the Citadel. For
oh my god,
store on the Citadel.
And you do that for every store.
Yep, it's amazing.
And there's no problem. Like, there's nowhere in the game does that a problem.
None of the stores ever talk to you about it. Or, anyways,
I mean, you never sign a contract. You just do it. Anyway, so I'm gonna. I guess it's we got one more bit of business. Waylon Gree sent us over here on some business of his. Said you could set us up with a vehicle.
Waylon sent you over, did he?
Yes, he did.
Suppose he's calling in that favor. All right then. Well, I've got one vehicle, and I think you've probably already seen it. Mako over there. Normally, I'd charge you 30,000 credits for that, but if Waylon's calling in the favor, I guess it's yours.
Very generous of you.
Yeah, so let me kind of run
try
things
to bring
down.
it back in one piece.
Well, no, it's yours now. I don't want it back.
I don't want it either.
Well, I don't want it, so don't bring it back.
I'm sure we can find a use for it. It's all right.
We'll take good care of her before we bring her back.
Well,
I'm sure we could find a crater for her.
I need to just this obviously, and he kind of gestures with his arms kind of at the whole Mako. There's been some modifications done. They were necessary. The gun controls inside the cockpit.
Think that word.
The gun controls inside the cockpit are completely shot, so you got to use that sidecar canopy up there on the side of the gun to control the gun. It's an old model here, a classic. If you say good off-road, good suspension here with the wheels, but they might creak a little bit, but don't let that alarm you. They're just I've taking care of it. All right, don't let it worry you nothing. She might make a few. She might make a few strange noises, but except for I guess for us and sorry here, everybody else. You get to be 300 years old, and that you're gonna have a few creaky joints. So just keep that in mind.
Yourself.
Well, I said apart from us.
So me, I wouldn't even have joints at 300.
I suppose. I mean, you got robot here, Geth.
Also, apologies if this is rude, sir, but if we're getting it for free, is there a way we could invest money for you to, I don't know, soup it up?
Well, I already did that. I mean, this is what you get. That's why
it's wonderful.
Going over it. If you got, I think you guys. Let's see here.
You have to be careful about asking somebody to soup up a jalopy because they could just literally strap on a rocket to the back with duct tape, and that's
especially a Krogan. When a Krogan scientist's definition of science is finding out how big an explosion you can make.
Is adding more rockets.
Yeah. How many rockets can I put on this?
Don't give him any ideas.
GM question.
Yeah.
I am proficient in vehicle handling.
Yeah.
As he's showing me this stuff, is anything sticking out? Does it look like the wheels are going to fall
thing?
Off?
Make an investigation check with advantage since you have the proficiency in light vehicles.
Mostly, I'm asking if there's going to be anything that's going to surprise us.
Make an investigation check.
Yeah.
You said that the gun turret was shot, which has me confused because that's
the controls inside the cockpit are shot. That's why I put the carriage on the side so you can control it from up there.
Don't get your undies in a bunch, old man. I'm just making a joke.
The gun works just fine. Good old-fashioned coaxial cannon. You got rockets and you got machine gun on that bad boy. So don't get smart with me. I made sure
it's got a hot
works.
plate.
I'm continuing the tradition of me getting terrible rolls for anything other than combat.
What'd you get?
Excellent.
A 10.
10
at advantage.
I mean, you can tell that this thing is old. It's very old. It seems sturdy enough. Again, obviously, it's had many hours of maintenance done on it. There's big metal plates welded on in sections. It doesn't seem like it's like extra armor. It seems like it's patching holes more than anything. So the colors are all mismatched. There's kind of plates that are a little rusty and others that are still kind of that. It's very scratched and chipped, but there's still some of that classic white kind of Mako paint on there in places. But it seems sturdy. Again, the coaxial cannon on the top, which has two barrels that kind of flip back and forth depending on which gun you're using. It has the sidecar turret kind of seat, which it's plated all around. It's not like an open exposed dune buggy cage. It's there's a slit in the front that you kind of slits at eye level on the front and the two sides, but everything else except for the cockpit, which lifts up, is just metal plates. So it's armored.
Okay.
Into that.
Yeah, I mean, from just looking at the outside, that's what you see, I guess. Yeah, with that roll.
Sure.
Just kind of give it a good once over.
Kick a tire.
It's got air in it. These are these cool. Tires are 6 feet tall. They're monster truck tires. And this is a big rover tank. And for those who aren't totally aware of what a Mako looks like, I've got a pretty good picture here. Oh, my chair's in the way.
Hold on. That's what a well-maintained.
Yeah. Well, there's not a lot of official art out there that makes a Mako look like shit. Okay, so I had to work with what was there.
Can I do that cool thing where I lean up on it? And I'm like, "Guess she's ours, boys," and hit the bumper, and it kind of falls off or whatever.
That's exactly what. That's exactly what happens. You kind of looking along the back. You kind of give it a pound on one of the metal plates, or the welding is kind of coming apart. It could, and you just kind of
you go through and you kick the tire and the windshield falls off.
Yeah.
Yeah. As
Do
I'm
they
standing
have
as
a
I'm
seal?
standing here watching this,
I came out of retirement to die in a Mako.
Well, yeah,
Well-
I mean, it's a human vehicle. They're not like the Tomka trucks, Krogan make. Those are strong, sturdy vehicles. These things are a little more, they're human.
Yeah, too bad you ain't got any of those.
Well,
This
take what I can
vehicle
get.
looks pleasantly
Take what I can.
satisfying
Like
for
I
anyone
said,
who does not
I
have
don't
biological
drive.
skin.
Well, I'm not driving the thing, so it's not really my problem. I just made it work again, and it's your problem. So have fun.
Oh my god.
It beats being on foot.
Before we
True.
embark, please let me know where each of you would like to be buried.
Bury me on the home planet. I'll go back to Ilium.
And if we're dying in this thing, that may not be an option.
You're right.
That was a joke.
Oh, you
Insert
guys.
joke.exe here. Ha 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 ha.
So is there anything else you guys want to do at Grom's? You've got your Metagel, you've got your Omnigel, you've got a few other things, and now you've got a Mako that can just kind of sit here until you guys are ready to take it out.
Well, and we asked him what he knew, right?
Yeah, if you have any more questions
Yeah.
for him, you can certainly continue to keep asking or whatever.
Does he have a tech bench for me to go through and take those parts that I got to create a tracker with?
He does. He has both. He has an armor bench and a weapon bench here. And if you ask him, he'll let you use them free of charge. Just you got to bring your own materials
or buy materials.
Yeah, or buy them from him. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let McGowan know that I'm creating the tracker that we'll need to track this truck.
Okay.
I'm going to watch Alpha do that.
Now the skills are slightly different in Mass Effect 5e than they are in standard D&D. So give me just a second to make sure I have all the different ones in front of me.
For the record, as cute as it was to have my cat Stella up here in the middle of a stream, that little sassy wench lost one of my D20s while she was up here.
Oh no!
Yeah, I went searching around and I cannot find it now. She knocked it off. I can't find it.
I've lost a couple of dice sitting on my computer desk, and I have no idea where they went.
I bet she rolled a d20 and it's just sitting under your desk.
See who,
or
like,
I mean,
the annoying
she rolled
Virgo
a nat
is.
20.
She rolled a nat 20 on annoying.
Right.
So
me with all my dice like labeled in my separate box.
Which, by the way, quick plug, I do have a friend that makes dice. So if anybody wants to go there and anybody needs new shiny dice, let me know.
I definitely do. All of mine are in my refrigerator.
All right, but buzz me after we're done here, and I'll go there and introduce you to my friend.
All of my dice are on my phone.
But it feels so much better when you have it in your hand.
Okay, so make
but I spent all my money on this.
Alpha, please make an electronics check if you're going to work on this device. It'll take you based on the check, and that'll determine how much time and Omnigel you need to make this thing work.
Yeah.
What it is, I can't see.
Who needs time? It's all plug
and play. Nice. Nat 20.
We're going.
So
we don't need time.
We're now introducing the luck cards for the first time in our game.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna send you, well, you got the nat 20, so that's a card. That's your card for you, Ryan. So I'm gonna Alpha, I'm gonna send you your card now. So give me just a moment. Oh my God, so many messages on my phone. So
oh my God, you're doing so good. You look so great.
It takes
you showered today?
It takes an hour. It'll take you about 1 hour to construct your tracking device, and it'll only take you 1 canister of Omnigel because you're flawless in the production of this. You don't make any mistakes.
Flawless.
You get all the connections correct on the first time, and the thing works exactly as well as you expect it to be able to, given that it's built from, kind of hodgepodge components and stuff. Yeah, it's not. You didn't buy it as a tracker. You had to assemble it yourself, but it's as good as it's going to get.
It's not pretty. But it's
and you
functional.
definitely made it in good time. So I'm just going to send you your card here. So for those watching, the luck cards, there are good luck cards and bad luck cards, and I kind of use these instead of inspiration because I always forget to give out inspiration. The good luck cards, each player can get one good luck card when they roll a nat 20. And if they roll a second nat 20 and they're still in possession of that card, they don't get another card. I, as the DM, get bad luck cards. So when they roll nat 1s, I can have one bad luck card for every player in the party. So in this case, I can have 4 bad luck cards. And then I can play those against them to kind of change things up a little bit. And the players can use them on themselves or on their party members or NPCs or whatever to modify dice rolls more often than not, to some degree. There are other features as well, but it's a kind of a fun way to mix things up. So I'm just sending, and
It's
because
gonna mess me up so hard.
because we're playing remotely these days, I can't actually have the card, so I'm just sending Ryan his card real quick right now because he just got a nat 20. So
Not in a bad way. I didn't mean to say it would mess me up. I meant like,
oh no, I know what you mean.
I've been known to nat a 1, so I have a feeling.
Well, and you can, and the reason I'm sending you the pictures is so that you remember what you've got for next time, because the cards can, it holds over to the next session. So, I can only have 4 cards, and each of you can have 1. So, nat 20, you assemble your tracking device, and again, it's not pretty, and it's a little messy, but as a Geth, you have an innate understanding of technology, and that certainly plays a huge part in this. And with 1 Omnigel and 1 hour of time, you assemble this tracker as flawlessly as you can.
So with the nat 20, I'm guessing that the tracker, while it's not like high grade military tiny, it's not necessarily super big. So
yeah, I would
looking
say
for it
it's
unless they're looking right at it.
You could fit in your hand. Like
Okay.
it's something that could be seen, but it would have to, but like probably not at a distance. And if you were, if you put it somewhere to hide it, presumably someone would sort of have to like be very keen-eyed or looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not huge. It would fit into your hand.
So it's not obvious, but if somebody was close to it, then they would see it.
Someone, a sharp-eyed individual could definitely could see it.
It's not the size of the tracker; it's the range of the signal that matters.
Oh gosh. Okay.
So
you guys now have about I would say you guys have about 4.5 hours before this caravan, this convoy is supposed to leave. You can either just kind of idle away the time and we can move on, or if there's anything else you want to do in between.
Methinks we might want to make a bit of a game plan before we just idle around.
Yeah, this is definitely.
This unit has created a tracker that we can either launch as the vehicle leaves, or we can sneak in and apply to the vehicle before it goes.
Okay, it's a solid plan.
He is right that there's the factor that if they're heading to a remote location, it will be incredibly obvious if we follow.
Well, that's the benefit of the tracker, is we can follow at a distance.
So we wait until the tracker stops moving and then close in?
Or just...
Well, and some of us can work from a distance.
Tracker should allow us to follow at a maximum distance, so we should not be seen as we are following. However, we will need to apply the tracker, so we can either apply the tracker by sneaking in, applying it to the vehicle, or we could wait till the vehicle leaves, find a spot to shoot the tracker onto, and then follow from there.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, we get a bonus if we find that key card, but the reward was only for finding where they're going. So if we plant the tracker, we can sit here and collect our money, but that wouldn't be very fun.
It was to find out where they're going, and if it's not going to get you killed, like just offhand, to try and deal with whatever it is.
So we do need to go.
So yeah.
If the
Yeah, we
organization
have to-
called LMD were to go through and take over this particular spaceport, it would be problematic for us to leave.
It would complicate things.
I guess I forgot I was a Krogan for a second there.
Let's follow them in.
Because the Krogan is all about finding out where they are and skipping the fight.
I was playing my
we should
playing
be
my other
arguing with
character.
you that no, you
Yeah.
should not be waiting outside of the gate for them to leave to start the fight. Wait till they get where they're going and then do the fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the tracker sounds like our best option. Finding out as much information about we can before we choose to go in is important, obviously.
Should we now find a way to plant the tracking device?
I think we should probably wait until the convoy has left town, because if we get caught trying to apply the tracker in town, they're not going to leave. We're just going to have to kill them all.
Isn't that sort of the plan anyway, though?
Yes.
No.
After we figure out where they're going.
We have to know where they're going first.
Kill them here, kill them there, whatever.
No,
At this
it's not
point in time,
whatever.
At this point in time, we have several options that we could do to gather information. They will not be leaving for several hours, so we can either expand our information routes and allow us to enter the base to apply the tracker, or we can wait for them after exploring and then follow them from there.
More exploring.
Given
I
the
was going to go back
chance
to the
that most
bar until the
biologicals
convoy left.
given the chance that most biologicals have a particular skill set they like to use, we could have one set of biologicals inquire into local watering holes and information for LMDs and particular susceptible biologicals that would allow them to visit the base because they wanted to show off, and or particular biologicals that would get in brotherly fights that would allow them to bond in possible hiring mechanisms into the base.
Damn. How do I get hired
You
up in
want me
there?
to pick a fight?
We both.
I can only do so much in character. Give me a break here.
That's my question.
Well, yeah, I think honestly our best bet is going to be for Torque to brotherly fight, because I'm usually recruited. I don't recruit my own, so I.
But see, they might not know that they need to recruit you until they've met you.
That's true.
They might not know how much of a badass Torque is until he goes through and starts a fight that he wins, and then dusts up the LMD dudes and say, "Hey, you aren't half bad."
So, if you wait, could we find? Does the LMD have a local watering hole?
Get
They
my
have
accent
to
all
go
of a
to.
sudden? What is happening?
They
I have been.
They have an outpost. They don't have like a bar. They have like a little. It's a survey base that they've had in this town for a while. That is kind of where they've been put. You guys walked by it on the way over. Like they had their little
Oh,
office.
Yeah.
so they don't have like like a watering hole where they
No,
go
they're
hang
not.
out.
They're not like that entrenched locally yet. Like they're still kind of
Okay.
like keeping separate into themselves. But there's more bodies here, and there's definitely more like traffic between the hangar,
Okay.
their outpost, and out of the city. Like yeah, so they're not. They haven't like taken over, but there's definitely like a noticeable uptick in their presence.
But they're hiring locals. It was said.
No, they have their own military, and they draft locals into their workforces.
Okay. So
So-
that's why you're saying I should pick a fight, so I would look desirable to draft.
Well, if you're drafted into a workforce, you're basically a
Yeah.
slave.
Like if they're talking workforce at that point in time, like
Well,
you're talking
roll,
grunt work.
Yeah, not. We're talking like brotherly love. You're trying to get in and like relate with the boys.
So
like-
they might eventually bump you up to the shipments, but probably not today.
Yeah, and they are not a haphazard like small operation. They rule over entire star systems and like subjugate planets just to like work their
How
labor camps and stuff. Like they're huge. They're not These guys are not small fish.
how close are we to the like I know you said we just walked by it, but we walked a bit by. How close are we to where the LMD would hear us if I were to speak loudly?
Oh, you're nowhere near that now. Like
Oh,
you
okay.
know, it was like, you know, you're in a big town, so you know it takes 20-30 minutes to like kind of walk from one end to the other,
Okay.
you know. So
And they don't seem like the kind of people who, like, if you start a fight with them, they're going to go, "Hey, we want you on our team."
yeah, you were specifically
Well,
cautioned not to cause too much trouble near their base.
No, but I have a plan.
I mean,
What's
I
your
will
plan?
I'm
vouch.
just refreshing. I'm just refreshing the information that you guys have already been given.
Yeah.
Okay, I would say I will vouch as a Marine. Somebody else who's willing to get into a bar fight and then have a smile and buy a beer afterwards is my new best friend.
Fair enough.
Well, I
But-
might have quite a high persuasion, and we could, instead of insinuating a fight out of anger, could possibly insinuate a fight out of persuasion of brawn. Of fucking, you know, like of brawn.
Oh,
like
we're talking about like a bet here, then, right?
we're saying like I like very loudly over my breath say like no one could win in a fight against you, Torque, and then I would be so impressed with any man. And then we get them to fight and create friendship.
And I'll rip off my shirt and say, "Who wants to fight me?"
Exactly. Because usually that implies that you want to fight. That's what I've heard. So
I like
that's
this
what I've heard as
plan.
well.
I don't know the end game, but I like this plan.
Somehow,
So
here's our plan. Here's our
So
plan.
then I'm in the base, right?
Step one.
wait, hold on. So we're going with Plan Magic Mike. Continue on.
Yeah. So step one, Magic Mike. Step two,
Plant the tracking
fight.
device.
Somewhere in there, a tracking device gets planted. Not sure how yet.
This plan is easy for Torque because it rhymes. Step 1, Magic Mike. Step 2, fight. Step 3, tracking device.
Those are the slantiest rhymes I've ever heard.
Bars.
How can you argue logic that rhymes?
Come on, it's basically a spell.
It's basically
We're not using magic, Steve.
except for profit. That's so good.
Oh gosh.
Diamond hands.
Krogans have evolved so much in the last 300 years.
I may be sterile, but I got a diamond dick, y'all.
No, I've been stuck on Tachanka for 100 years mating, so whatever this plan is, it sounds great.
Oh, my tummy. Okay.
I think
Are we canceled yet?
Instead of Magic Mike, it's
The
Diamond
key
Dick.
biologicals are finished. This unit can go through and can shoot the tracking device onto the vehicle as it leaves. If you wish to continue with your
Oh.
rhyming plan, this unit can wait outside.
I thought this was your idea. You suggested this to begin with. I'm just trying to make sense of it.
My idea was to like little rascals them and just like, oh no.
This has suddenly got way more complex than it needs to be. I think the robot dog shooting the tracking device is a much better idea.
yes, yes, it definitely is.
I think so too.
You're the GM. You don't get an opinion.
I know, but I'm just listening to you guys talk about this
Oh.
for like 5 minutes. It doesn't make any
So
sense.
this unit is able to launch. So this unit is able to launch track.
We broke Alpha.
You losing your mind with the
doesn't-
Geth voice on is like made this whole stream worth it.
It doesn't. It
already.
doesn't make any sense.
Oh,
We broke Alpha.
I'm trying. You're not making it easy.
Okay, go ahead.
okay. Who?
This unit.
Or sorry, this unit.
Goose Fraba.
This unit is able to launch the tracking device at range onto the truck as it is leaving. So any particular plans we are following, whether they are rhyming or not, this unit will still be able to go through and launch the tracker onto the truck if all else fails.
Well,
Well,
there's
that's
no
why I'm.
point. There's no point in me sexy fighting my way into the base if you're gonna have the tracking device on you ready to launch.
Well, honestly, my thought was that it could get us a bit more intel, not intel, just in general. Might not be bad to be buddies with these scary ass LMD dudes.
Are we just gonna ignore the fact that the Krogan just talked about sexy fighting?
Capoeira.
God,
Sexy fighting is
a
my
Krogan
specialty.
doing capoeira would be something else,
I think you need longer arms than Krogan have.
and also not quite as large of a hump on your
Yeah.
back.
What'd you say about my hump?
I just mean it would get in the way if you're
A
trying to
lovely
do capoeira.
Krogan hump.
I mean, they do have those.
Check it out.
It is
Check it out.
anatomically correct.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, I think we've been dicking around long enough. I think we should just go
Really?
with the Alpha
Really?
Omega plan.
Yeah.
Oh
Sorry,
my
I forgot
God.
this is like a charity thread, isn't it?
It's not more.
This
This is not specifically for
No,
charity.
I'm sorry.
but
I
we
did
have-
just
yeah.
read in the chat though. It made me laugh so hard. First Mass Effect after match shirt just says this unit, this unit, this unit.
Yep. It's just line after line after line.
These guys are
Excellent.
not making it easy. This is only the first session. It shouldn't be this hard.
We're still finding our groove. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. It's
Wait
good.
for Mass Effect 2 Electric Boogaloo.
I mean, oh man, why didn't they name it that? God dang it! It's already a thing.
Yeah, we could have all put on our
Yeah, the
Hawaiian
funny thing,
shirts.
and the funny thing about Mass Effect 2 is that
Kill me.
it's in like the Blade Runner version of Mass Effect. So it's Electric
Oh, no.
Boogaloo for sure.
We killed Nox.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So while you guys are standing outside, kind of formulating this plan, a Turian
Having a rap
in
battle.
just street clothes walks by and kind of walks up by you, Ray, and kind of just says quietly, without looking at you, kind of as in passing, he says, "Check your Omni tool in 3 minutes," and just kind of vanishes into the crowd.
Do I see this? Do we see
Yeah,
this?
yeah, everybody sees it. He walks up kind of like past the group, kind of just turns his head a little bit. Check your Omni tool in 3 minutes.
Oh wait, just to me or to everyone?
No, to everybody, but just
Oh.
like kind of walks nearest to you so that at least somebody hears what he says. You know, it's a very quick exchange.
That is sus.
She holds a poker face the whole time, doesn't react.
Turian sus. Vote blue.
Well, that was weird. Who was that guy?
guy?
Guess I'm checking my Omnitool in 3 minutes.
I check my Omni tool now and then go, oh, it's not. It hasn't been 3 minutes.
And 3 minutes later, everybody kind of gets
Then we all blow up.
gets an alert, and at kind of the same time, and you all see a message that just says, "Come to the Winter Star Cafe. Ask for a seat by the back window." I think we might be able to help each other.
Did you guys get a text that says, "Come to the Winter's Cafe"?
Yes.
Sure did.
Yes.
Oh dang! I thought it might have just been from an admirer or something. But if we all got the same message, then we should probably go together.
Very well.
Well, I mean, do you really know it was to all of us?
I just asked.
We all got it, didn't we?
Yeah, I just asked if we all got the
We
same
did.
message.
Yeah.
Yes, you
Well-
all got the same message.
Then let's head over to the Starlight Winterfest Cafe.
Do you know where it is? Because I got to town a couple hours ago.
There's
and I have no idea.
there's coordinates with the message.
Well, and we might know, wouldn't we? Torque and I.
You might. I mean, you
Yeah.
haven't. I don't know. You may or may not have been here long enough to like wholly explore the town. Because again, there's more than like one like cafe and like kind of restaurant.
Well,
so-
yeah, but I thought maybe we'd have one cool like.
Yeah, I
drinking
mean, it
story.
wouldn't be unreal for unrealistic for you guys to know where it is. But you know, just in case, there are coordinates with the message. So.
We know where it is, but we haven't been there yet.
We've heard of it. We've heard tell of the.
I've heard really good things about it, but you've never had the food.
I've heard that the poutine there is to die for, but
Yeah, I've always wanted to try the food at this place. Let's go.
Anyways, yes. So you guys are
I
setting
didn't realize
out.
we're going to Canada.
You guys are setting out towards these set of coordinates, and after a few minutes of walking, you see a wooden stone building in that kind of local architecture, with one of the things that's very prevalent here, especially on storefronts and stuff, are bright neon signs. Like hard light kind of constructs that flicker and change color, and kind of casts. It kind of makes the snow and the ground around it kind of like green or purple or pink, or there's all kinds of these neon lights everywhere. And there's yet another neon
There's
sign.
Snow on the ground.
Yes, there's been snow on the
Yeah,
ground since
it's
like the
Arctic-y.
third, since like 5 minutes into the session. So there's another big blazing neon sign that notes this as the Star Cafe. It's like a kind of a Nova sort of design just on the front of the building here. Inside through the windows, you can see that there's like kind of warm yellow lights, and it looks pretty clean and tidy. It looks not upscale, but nice. And for I guess the two of you who've been here and have had a few days to kind of ask around, you've heard that it's a little overpriced as far as like what's on the menu goes, but it's it's good food. It's good food, good drinks, or whatever. It's more of like a casual kind of like, it's almost like a lunch cafe kind of
My
vibe.
favorite kind.
Um,
Also, someone did point out, and I do think that it's pretty prevalent, that Torque has lived here for hundreds of years and has never gone to this place to eat.
I
the
don't
food.
live here.
But it says.
I mean, some people are extroverted, some people are introverted. Some people take introvertedness to the their decade level. Some take
Torque-
it to the century
Torque's only
level.
been here for a
Excitement.
few days.
Okay, sorry. In
It
the
was
chat,
the other-
someone
it was
said
the
that.
other
Well,
day.
that chat's wrong then.
Okay, well, I apologize.
Well, we should just shame
I'm not
them.
watching the chat.
Yeah, we should
No.
shame them and make them feel bad. Let's not do that. Don't do that.
Maybe for the record,
that.
this is the GM saying this.
Don't do that. Let's not do that. You're wrong, but I forgive you. You're wrong, but I forgive you, whoever you are.
So send
I
all
don't.
hate mail to michael.screwyou@gmail.com.
Yep. No, Hotmail.
No,
Still
sorry,
hanging on to
sorry.
that one. Still hanging on to that
He
one.
did upgrade
the
from
sixth grade.
AOL.com.
It's from 1998. I'm still hanging on to that one just in case Hotmail comes back.
Don't make me feel old.
I mean,
Don't tell everyone that you're
We're-
looking for hot mails. It doesn't
we're
go.
we're all sort of relatively in the boat.
Where the Hotmail's at.
We're all born pre-2000.
Yeah.
My second email account ever was Hotmail.
Hotmail.
Anyways, let's come back here. Let's focus in here.
Hotmail at Hotmail.
Why did I not think of this?
So,
Holy
you guys,
cow!
you guys are
18-year-old me
approaching.
missed this.
You guys are approaching the outside of the the diner here. When you go in, there's a few people, kind of the wait staff here. Most of them are locals. It looks like human Batarian for the most part. And host comes over, human, and can I help you for?
We'll
Interested
take a seat by the back window.
He gives you sort of a knowing look, and right this way, and he leads you back and takes you back to the back of the restaurant. There's no back window here, but there is the door to what looks and sounds like the kitchen. And this, once you guys are seated and you've got a drink, the server goes into the kitchen, and a few minutes later, a big Krogan comes out, and he's in like kind of a Krogan chef's outfit he's got a big cleaver in one hand. And
I knew I would like the food here.
And he looks over the four of you, and he's got this very like surly look on his face, and he's, come on, and he pushes through the door and kind of waits for you to follow him in.
Yeah, what are your specials?
Talk with the boss first, then you can order food if you want. Come on.
All right. And I go through the door.
This far out, they wouldn't have oysters, so what are these oysters on the menu?
I follow into the kitchen.
Come on.
All right, so he leads you back through the kitchen, and it smells, it's a cold environment here, so a lot of the food that's being cooked is kind of like comfort food. It's warm, and it smells like, hearty, and
like hot dish.
Yeah, it's
space hot dish.
Yeah, like heavy kind of like comfort
Soups,
food.
Chilies.
There's lots of soups. There's a Batarian dish called Burgot, which is kind of like a chowdery sort of a thing. There's kind of different kinds of breads made with different grains. One thing to be of particular note is that Quarians and Turians have have a completely different diet than the other sapient and like sentient races, and so we can't eat their food, and they can't eat our food. So there's actually kind of two sections of the kitchen here that are separated from each other to make sure the foods don't get contaminated and stuff. It's sort of like having preparing foods like allergen free sort of a thing, except that they genetically can't even eat this stuff, and it will kill them, if they eat like too many of the wrong kind of nuts and stuff. So you see people kind of, so that's why there's like different kinds of bread, and there's variations of the dishes both for the two different sort of base diets. There's like,
it seems so inefficient to go through and have to ingest exterior organics when you could just plug yourself in and energize.
We haven't figured that one out yet. Also,
I suggest we all order something different and then try a bit of each other's.
I suggest we find out what the boss has to say.
I like what you're
leads you
saying,
through.
man.
You come to a door which goes down into like a cellar, and with this big cleaver, Krogan, boss is down there, and he just turns around and kind of goes back to cooking, working away on food, kind of chopping away at this big slab of meat with this big heavy Krogan cleaver. Just you can kind of feel the weight of the blade, just this big metal blade in the floor a little bit as it kind of hits the cutting boards.
Do you think he ever gets tired of being a secretary and a cook?
Aww.
A sec cook, Terry.
A cookery.
So you guys go down the stairs, and this is an underground cellar, so the walls are kind of dirt and stone. It's not like a nice basement. This is where they keep all the food. There's meats and barrels and crates of barrels, but like crates and containers of things. And the steps down are really just like nothing more than like kind of like metal planks sticking out of the wall with a railing on one side. It's lit by lights kind of hanging from loose wires on the ceiling, and it's chilly down here. You're underground, not too far underground, but you are underground, and It is a cold planet, so the air is just cold enough where you can kind of see your breath coming out as you breathe. But you do also see there are like space heaters in places, kind of trying to keep it a little bit more comfortable. But as you kind of get further away from the space heaters, you can see your breath in the air. It's just one big room. You don't see any other doors or anything as you kind of walk through. Again, it's mostly stacks of cooking supplies and shelves of spices and stuff like that. At the far back of the room, kind of following along one wall, there's a table there. And at the table, there are two fully armored Krogan with helmets and everything, and a Solarian kind of like sitting at the desks. Solarian are kind of a reptilian alien race, little sort of salamander-like. Fun lore fact here: the Solarian are actually what we think of as like the Greys. For people who read about like alien abductions and stuff, it was in the Mass Effect lore. It was the Solarians, and they had a penchant for poking around and trying to study things that maybe they should leave alone.
No kidding.
I mean, it's been 300 years. Have the Krogans let go of the fact that the Solarians released the Genophage yet?
Depends on the Krogan.
Mostly. Not all the way.
So, the Solarian you see, he looks like he's wearing like work functional clothes. It's sort of think he's got kind of a smuggler look to him, pirate kind of. He's wearing like a kind of a leather jacket sort of a thing, and obviously with the Solarian anatomy being vastly different, doesn't look exactly the same, but it's that kind of aesthetic. He kind of looks up and he looks all for his big black Solarian eyes. He goes, greetings. I'm Jando Kinsall, captain of the Lucky Piejack, owner of this cafe, and I heard you might be going to look into something for my friends over in the Smugglers Guild, and I was wondering if I could enlist your help with something myself.
I love him.
Are your friends aware that you're distracting us from our mission right now?
Is this
extra points, because that sounds exactly like what the Krogan would say.
If it's a distraction, why'd you come?
I suppose we have time to kill. We'll hear what you have to say.
Excellent. That's all I'm asking. Now I know old Wayland is sending you to see what the LMD are up to out in the wilderness. Now, I don't know what you're going to find. I can't help you. I can't provide any more information than you're likely already going to be able to get. But what I can say is this: if you're out there and you find a camp or an outpost or any kind of concentration of LMD forces and you are able to, I'm willing to pay you for LMD hardware that you bring back to me. Weapons, tools, things like that. Good stuff. Not the basic kind of things, but if you can bring me back anything. And if you don't want to accept this, that's totally fine. No hard feelings. Maybe we can work together in the future. I don't know. But if you got the time and the energy and you want to bring a few things back that maybe you're not so keen on keeping for yourselves or whatever else you might find use for them, Jado here, I'll pay you for them. I'll give you 10% of the total profit for resale.
10%? But you wouldn't be able to get these without us.
I don't need them, but it's extra income, we'll say, for both of us. Now, I'm going to be the one who has to scrub all the serial numbers, remove all the LMD tracking devices, and all the other things. I feel like it's fair.
We'll just risk our necks for someone we've never met before.
No. If you want, that's all I'm saying. If you bring things back, if you bring stuff back to me, I'll pay you for it. If you don't bring anything back, like I said, no hard feelings.
10%. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but I'm thinking we walk out of this meeting right now.
I think it might give us some insight into some particular items that we may or may not have to bring back, that we would then have access to the knowledge of where they are.
We would have knowledge of where they are if we kept them ourselves.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but can you remove the LMD trackers and
okay.
serial numbers that they can identify where those weapons were taken from? Because I can. I mean, not that removing a serial number is all that difficult. You just got to take some grit to it and scrub it off there. But those trackers are a little more difficult. Every piece of LMD equipment has them built in. So if you take those weapons,
we are the guests that knows trackers.
Great.
That is accurate.
As I said, it's on the table. You take it or leave it. I won't put up a fight. But I just thought I'd reach out since I heard Wayland was sending you to do some digging around, and thought maybe we could benefit. But if it's not your speed, that's fine.
Your benefit is acceptable, plus 5%.
Make a charisma check, Alpha.
Yes. Make the engineer do a charisma check. Make the Geth engineer do a charisma check.
You're
that
the
is
one
totally
who offered.
A great idea.
You're the one
that
who
is
offered.
Totally a great idea.
I'm not making you do anything. You offered.
18.
That is
with
exactly
my
what
+0.
you needed. That is exactly what you needed. All right, I'll give you 15.
This unit finds your offer acceptable. Do the rest of other biological units find this offer acceptable?
I'll take it. We're not really committing to anything, but if we...
I'm not asking you to. Like I said, just if you got something you want to get rid of, bring it to me.
Seems reasonable to me.
At 15%, we can agree.
That sounds good. 15% it is. Looking forward to it. Excuse me, I've got kind of some
character we've met.
I've got some work to do, so if you don't mind, you can see yourselves out.
Don't you sell things here? Are you okay?
No, this is just where I kind of like to have private conversations.
Oh, all right.
Well, McGowan just sort of turns around and walks out of the door.
Okay.
Alpha and Omega will follow with him.
All right, so you guys go back to the kitchen.
Wonder if they make a good Grunion roast.
You can always ask. You can always check the menu.
The deep breath was just chef's kiss.
This unit understands that other biologicals need to consume biologicals to survive. So if we need to stand so you can consume your mass consumables, this unit will stay with you.
Oh my god. So I looked up a list of Krogan food.
I looked up a whole bunch of Mass Effect food too when I was prepping for this campaign.
Prepping.
And on here it lists huevos rancheros.
Yum!
Yes.
Nice.
And it is mentioned by name in Mass Effect 3.
By
a human, admittedly, but
that's what I ordered.
Eggs are a universal food.
You know what else is universal in Mass Effect? Is ramen.
Here's a question though.
I order huevos.
Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. There's no never mind of this campaign. What were you going to say?
They all made me speak.
No, I was going to be like, isn't it kind of weird for a Krogan to eat eggs? But no,
depends on whose eggs they are.
Depends on whose eggs.
That is accurate to a point.
But well,
I mean,
yeah,
humans
It
eat
does-
eggs because we don't lay eggs, but
no, but
other
we do,
species
like,
that lay
veal
like
and stuff, you know.
Well, there have been plenty of species that
Don't
lay eggs that
snakes
also
lay
eat
eggs?
It wasn't weird until you said that.
It's not weird though. There are plenty of species that lay eggs that also eat eggs.
It's fine.
It
I mean, they
also
don't like
lists
cook
something
them up
called
in a
tummy
pan or
tingling.
anything, but they eat eggs. Like,
It also lists something called
well, maybe
tummy
they don't cook them
tingling
up in a pan
tachanka
because they don't
sauce.
understand how good they are in a pan.
you just like there's a bird, like a bird
yeah.
sitting on the end of a frying pan with a spatula in one hand, like whisking some scrambled eggs.
Okay. I want to shoot
But-
stuff.
Yes.
My
Oh my
thing-
god! Oh my god!
Right.
Wait! Hold on! All right. So how do you want this?
Gross.
Oh.
Gross.
Oh.
All right.
I did not start this thread.
There's a reason I said never mind. I wanted to move on. There's a reason I wanted to do that.
Okay. Well, speaking of moving on, you guys have a few more hours. Do you want to?
No.
Are you guys satisfied with your
Yeah.
investigations and things? I just kind of gotta ask.
I know.
wanna
I'm just curious.
Yes, please.
Yeah. no,
Okay.
I'm happy.
So, you guys, I don't know if you stay here, you go back to Wayland's, whatever the case is. You wait about 4 more hours, slightly beforehand before you all kind of start shifting gears and getting ready to go on this mission, this job. And, it's a little before 8 that you decide, it's probably time to start kind of getting into position. So you can either attempt to put this tracker on at the headquarters, or you can try and kind of like do it somewhere in between, or look around for a good hiding spot. If you want to look around for a good spot, I would say let's do everybody make an investigation
Heavy
check.
sticky- Oh.
Yeah, everybody do
Not
like an
sneaky?
investi. Well, it's just more like looking around for spots that would be good to hide in rather than actually like being in stealth mode at this point. Looking for spots that have good like kind of line of sight and maybe a vantage point.
Well, it
go
ain't
ahead.
me, folks. So
Me either.
Oh, we'll do a group check
Ooh,
and we'll
not
see.
me.
Oh, what'd you guys get?
You got a 6.
6, 4,
Oh God.
Oof.
Nah.
5.
How about you, Alpha?
did you get a nat 1? Don't say it.
Okay, well,
No. Are you for real?
I have a card now. I have a card.
I rolled the highest with a 6.
I am the most bipolar player in
Boy.
this campaign, apparently.
Boy.
What was in that food?
That was my first roll of the game.
I am
guys have-
Geth.
guys have-
I don't eat food.
You guys all had food comas. You were not really paying attention. Geth, I know that's on you. I got nothing.
Like, no. Like, okay, so food comas. I don't eat food, so
I
I
know,
was
that's why I
watching
thought-
them
That's
to try to make sure that I could bring them to, our resting place before it was bad, and I just failed. So now
Okay.
they're puking in the bar and in the vehicle and on the way to the vehicle, and then from the vehicle into the inn, and then the inn door going up the stairs up to 3rd floor where we were staying at.
That's a lot of puke.
I mean, it's not my puke. I just failed to
That's a
make
lot
sure
of
we got there
puke.
first.
so
Can I
You
roll for
guys-
how many times I puke?
you guys kind of start following the road. You start back nearby where the LMD outpost is, kind of like scanning the nearby streets, looking for good places to try this, and you're just not finding much to see. There's lots of plenty of cover to stay out of sight, but in those same places, you don't really have a lot of opportunity to get the tracker on it. It seems like it's going to be it have to be a very quick thing, and or you don't have line of sight at all, or the road diverges in ways where you can't really you kind of spend a little time trying to predict and think about which way might they go, which way is closer to the door. Whatever. You can't really, none of it really works out. And so by the time you guys are like getting towards like the gate, is anybody who's kind of keeping an eye out? Who's looking around and surveying things? Okay,
I have
so
high passive perception.
so well, this will be a roll. So Torque and Ray, you can both make perception checks, please, for me.
20, dirty 20.
Nice.
Oh, 23.
Okay. It's you guys are within sight of the main gate when you start to hear the sound, like the rumbling of heavy vehicles, wheeled vehicles. These are not hover vehicles, behind you. And you look back, both of you, and you see the convoy approaching. There's a smaller Jeep type vehicle in the front with like a machine gun on the top. And there's a guy kind of up in the nest there, kind of looking around. You can see another driver inside at the wheel. There's a much bigger truck behind them, which looks like the one that you spotted earlier in McGowan. And this is like a big semi almost. It's a huge like cargo truck, but it also has a big gun on the top. This is, however, automated. And then as kind of peeking out from the back, you can see a second one of these smaller Jeeps. And for people who've spent time kind of around military stuff, which would be most of you to some degree, because you've all been working as mercenaries or something similar for a while, you recognize these vehicles. I guess, if it's pointed out to you, McGowan, which I don't know if it is or not, you would recognize these right away with your military background. But I don't know if you've been alerted or not. So,
well,
The
we
trucks
would be
are
able
coming.
to describe them to
okay,
him, correct?
yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, McGowan, you would recognize the two smaller vehicles as L60 Roadrunners. They're a pretty ubiquitous, like just kind of Humvee type vehicle. And then the other one is an M090 Razorback IFV infantry fighting vehicle, and it's like a big armed cargo transport truck. And it's in no matter which military force is using it, it's pretty standard to travel in convoys like this with some smaller, faster escorts. And it looks like there's at least two drivers, at least two people for each vehicle. A driver, and then for the Jeeps, it's somebody on the gun, and then there's another person in the passenger seat on the bigger truck. And they're a couple blocks back yet. They're not like right on top of you, but you can kind of feel the rumbling in the road, and you can hear the roaring of the engine. I guess you wouldn't, it's electric, so wouldn't actually make a whole lot of noise, but you can feel the weight of the vehicles kind of moving through, and the ground starts to sort of shift. It's like if you're on a construction site, if you've ever been on a construction site, you can feel the big machinery like moving around and stuff. It's like that sort of a thing. And they're not like gunning it down the road. They're moving at like a reasonable speed, but people are kind of like rushing to get out of the way a little bit in some as they're coming up. And it looks like they're heading straight for the gate.
Now, you said that there was ample cover, or are we in it, or
There's just built you're in a city, so there's buildings everywhere.
Are there people around, or is it too late at night?
No, there are people around. It's only about 8 o'clock. It's not as busy as it was earlier in the afternoon, but there's still plenty of people out.
Okay, so the way that this convoy is like moving out, is it a situation where it's moving out slowly and there are some like soldiers or LSD like walking alongside of it? Are they all inside of it, or
there's no infantry? It's just the three vehicles. Each vehicle looks like it has at least two troopers in it.
I was gonna try and catch a straggler.
No, yeah, they're right now they're moving at sort of like speeds within city limits, but these are big, powerful vehicles that could probably get going pretty quick.
Question, going back to the big truck, is that usually used for transporting like personnel, or is it used for transporting things?
Both. There's two patterns of it. So and from the outside, you can't tell which one it is. You have to see in the back, either the cargo space is open for cargo, or there are like seats and benches and stuff in there for personnel carrying.
Okay.
And they're approaching, and they'll be kind of neck and neck with you guys in a minute or less.
Showtime, Alpha.
So as they're driving up, you only have so much time to act.
Do we go to the car or do we try to plant the tracking device right here and right now?
I'll say, like, I was thinking going through and wait as they pass us. I would go through and launch the tracking device at them, and then run back to our,
Yeah.
reliable vehicle, and then follow them from there.
Yeah.
Are you able to do it from cover? Like, would we be able to achieve that stealthily?
You can definitely try.
Yeah.
Is it
I
bad that
try.
I was just thinking about if we could get you like a fur skin to wear?
I mean, to be fair, like,
To be fair.
when keeping with the lore, like Geth, like anything Geth related, have like a flashlight head, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they have
Alpha
flashlight
and
heads.
Omega do not. Alpha
Oh.
and Omega look like a Varan until you get closer, and then you realize that while they have the Varan, face and the mouth and so forth, they have glowing eyes going from there. So if you get close enough and examine, you could see that they are Geth. But if you're not specifically paying attention, they just look like robot dogs.
Mhm. Yeah, or if you're not
Okay.
really familiar with who the Geth, what the Geth look like or anything, but they definitely have that Geth.
So if I kneel down
aesthetic.
and like pet you a little bit, no one will think anything about it.
I mean, there's precedent for like mech dogs.
I was
so
thinking more like
that doesn't
dingo.
like it stands out.
Are you like wild dogs?
I mean,
or are they like domesticated?
Oh,
well, Varan are like space wolves. That's the best way
Like
to put
wolves. Okay, yeah.
it. Yeah, Varan like space wolves.
We may have lost our GM here.
May or may
Or
not.
maybe he's just perpetually
So
confused.
since
He does make that face.
so since we've lost him,
I'm back now.
so
This
he's
is so
gone.
tempting.
So we're gonna say, if you cannot respond to this, that obviously we found a random, 500,000 credit cash, and we'll
Yeah.
give you
Oh,
three
no.
seconds to say that we did not.
That didn't happen. But yeah, so the trucks are approaching.
Shit.
What are you guys doing?
Shit.
You have just a few seconds here before the trucks are passing you. So
I get out of the way like a
So we'll
regular
have-
person.
On. So I'll have Omega on one side of the road and Alpha on the other, and just kind of like just casually looking like they're just kind of like looking around, acting very like Varanish until the truck passes by, and then Alpha will go through and launch the tracker at the truck.
okay, just roll just a basic like ranged attack roll.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I've had a 20 and
No.
a 1 today, so I don't really know if I want to do this.
Oh,
Something in between,
Uh.
please.
Well, that's not hard. All right. So
Yeah, so it would
what's
just be
my dex? What's my
D20
dex?
plus your dex. Yep.
All right, +2.
Come on.
Well, that's not bad. All right, so 16, 18.
18.
Nice.
Yeah, you shoot
Yes.
the dart off the tracking dart, and it takes a second. You almost think maybe it didn't work, but then you start to receive the signal to your
Did it
army
work?
tool, Alpha.
Excellent.
It does appear to have worked. Yes.
Well done, Alpha.
Hold on. Well, here we go.
Tracking device has been adhered. Alpha currently has location of current target. We should relocate into vehicle and start following.
It's on. Let's get to the truck.
So, Torque takes off running
Roger.
and really quickly realizes that it's probably like 5-10 minute walk to get to the truck, so he stops sprinting to save
Ah,
energy.
God damn it.
Catch up. He's like taking a couple breaths.
This is
Yeah.
why we can't have nice things.
It has been a while. Give me a second, guys. Oh.
It's that your dependency on biotic charge is finally it's catching up with your endurance.
We got the tracking device on him. There's no hurry. I don't know what I was doing.
So yeah, you get back to Grom's place, and the Mako is where you left it. Now, what positions would you guys like to take? There are 4 spots in the Mako. Let me pull up my sheet here.
How perfect.
Ooh.
It's like there's 4
I feel like
people.
this actually matters at some point.
Well, the vehicle driving is actually very important in Mass Effect. It's a lot more important in stuff than it is in standard 5e.
Don't you
So-
have vehicle handling
Yeah,
proficiency?
I do have vehicle handling.
So
proficiency, I
you
should probably
guys,
drive.
if you pull up the Mass Effect 5e online sheet, we are just using the M35 Mako unmodified stat block. So you should all be able to have access to that. It's a large transport. I've modified the crew systems a little bit. So instead of having one crew being able to operate everything, because this thing is such a beater, you each have to take one of the systems.
I'm so sorry.
So
what do I look for? Mako?
the M35 Mako. So there's a helm, so that's the driver. There is the SSC, the weapons, and the EWS. Now, what those things are and how this works. So we're going to have to just go over a little bit of this because this is my first time DMing vehicle combat.
Vehicle combat, you say?
Or vehicle driving in general, vehicles at all.
Whoops, I had my shit still on.
So the EWS is the Electronic Warfare Suite. The EWS protects the vehicle from hacking attempts, but also allows the crew to attempt to hack other people. Players must be
So
at
like
the
EDM.
EWS system to take the harden or sabotage action in combat. And we'll get to the. I'm still trying to remember where all this stuff is. So harden is make a DC intelligence check. On a success, you harden the security of your electronic warfare suite until the start of your next turn. Any attempt to sabotage your ship will have disadvantage until the start of your next turn. Sabotage is choose a target from the table below and make an intelligence check on electronics. The DC of this check is and its effect on success is determined by the chosen target. You must choose your target before making the intelligence check. So what we need to do right now is we need to have everybody pick a spot in the vehicle. So we've got the helm, which is your driving. You've got the electronic warfare suite that I just mentioned. There is the SSC.
I'll take the gunner.
Which is the where to go? The sensors, scanners, and communications. Every vehicle comes with at least some modicum of sensors. Comms allow the vehicle to hail other ships and planets. You can use the scan action during combat if you want to be on the sensors. And what scan does is you make a DC 15 intelligence investigation check as you peruse the log of incoming ship data or vehicle data. On a success, you may ask one question about a target vehicle, and I must answer that question honestly. So you can kind of use that to get, what are their weapons and things like that. There is for helm.
Where are you finding
this? Is under vehicles on the Mass Effect 5e handbook. So weapon, you've got attack and targeted attack. So Grom, it sounds like you're not Grom, you're Torque. Torque.
Yeah.
Grom sold you this. So Torque is on weapons. Who is on helm? McGowan is on helm. And then
Alpha, this is up to you. I think personally you might be better at the sensor thing, but I'm down for either.
Alpha agrees. Alpha would excel at sensors.
Okay, so Alpha's going for the sensors, which means you, Ray, are going to be managing the electronic warfare suite.
So if we get hacked, it is 100% Ray's fault.
Yes, it is.
I have a hacker tools.
It
and
is 100% not
okay,
Alpha's fault.
So
Alpha
all of
wants
the
to make
abilities.
this clear. It is 100% not Alpha's fault.
Right. So yeah, all of the abilities are there under Starship Combat. It kind of groups Starship and vehicles into the same category for some of these things. So yeah, you Torque, you've got access to both of the main guns, the coaxial cannon there. So I think it's like a grenade launcher kind of a thing, and you've got the machine gun and the mass accelerator cannon. So it's basically you've got a chain gun and a big ass rail gun, and you're reading the damage correct there. It is 1d6 times 10 piercing damage for the machine gun, and 1d10 times 10 for the accelerator cannon, radiant damage. And you can choose one or the other.
Vehicle scale versus personal scale.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got your regular attack, and you have the target attack. So name a system on a target vehicle and make a ranged attack roll. The target's AC has a +5 bonus against this attack. On a hit, roll damage and the system is disabled and cannot be used until it is repaired. Any creature manning that system takes damage equal to 1/2 of the damage roll. So it's a harder shot to make, but it can have pretty impactful benefits. McGowan, you've got maneuver and hard maneuver. So maneuver is make a DC 15 dexterity vehicle handling check on a success. Your AC increases by an amount equal to half its speed score until you start your next turn.
Okay, cool.
And then hard maneuver is make a DC 20 dex check, vehicle handling again. Oh, excuse me. On a success, your ship's AC increases by an amount equal to twice its speed score until the start of your next turn. Creatures on board your ship must make a Constitution saving throw to endure heavy G-forces. So I think this is probably something that's just for spaceships. I don't think the Mako probably has that.
The hard maneuver?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just have
It doesn't. It doesn't specify on the stat block, but because the Mako is a land vehicle, we're going to say you don't get to, because you're not moving fast enough for that to work. But you can. It's either just kind of driving, or you can use the maneuver skill. So everybody should be able to pull that list up. So Ray, you've got harden and sabotage.
Okay.
So if you're going to use your sabotage,
I'm not seeing the harden and sabotage on. I have it pulled up to what vehicles.
Yep. So if you go, if it's in the rule book, so it won't be on the stat block. It'll be in the section on starship combat.
Okay.
I'm sending a
The
link.
rule section. Yep.
I got it.
Great.
Okay.
Yep. So everybody's abilities should be
Harden
there.
and
So
sabotage. Gotcha.
so great. Yep. And so sabotage, you can do things based on the DC that you roll, and that's kind of what happens there. So yeah, you choose the target, the sensors, the helm, shields, navigation or weapons, and then based on if you beat those DC rolls there on the chart, that's
cool.
that's what happens. Yeah, I'm really excited to try some of this stuff out.
This is tight.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for this. I can't. So I can keep talking about it while we've been getting ready for this campaign. It's like I'm super excited to try out the vehicle stuff.
I know. I wanted to wait till they showed up and then roll up on them, but now I kind of want to attack them en route.
Okay,
We gotta know where they go, brah.
So yeah, Torque is on weapons, McGowan is on the helm, Alpha is on the sensors, and Ray is on the electronic warfare suite.
And I just have attack, right?
You just have attack. Yep, those are and that's what you can do during combat. And there's obviously wiggle room with creativity and stuff, but yeah, for the most part. And yeah, so Torque, you kind of climb up and get into that kind of side slung turret kind of carriage. The gun is normally controlled from the inside, but because this thing is so old, this modification has been made so that the gun is still usable, but it can no longer be controlled by the pilot. The inside gets a little crowded. The Mako's really only designed to have 3 people in it, and with 4 of you, it's a little cramped, and it's definitely not like a vehicle that you can just stand up in. It's kind of
2 are dogs.
It's a little crouched. Yeah, they're still medium creatures though. So you guys can't stand up straight, so you do have to kind of walk around inside a little hunched over just to kind of be able to walk in there, because it's very cramped, and a lot of the vehicle's height comes from just the size of the wheels, not necessarily the mass of the carriage.
So it's like taking an 80s Chevy van, giving it monster truck wheels.
It's like a station wagon on monster truck wheels.
Yes.
Nice.
Well, the kind with the back seat that could fold down into a bed.
Yep.
Hell
So
yeah.
Stepping inside the Mako, now you're kind of getting a chance to look around McGowan. You can see that a lot of these systems, because I guess you would probably be aware that most Makos are intended to be operated by just one person. It's all supposed to be able to be done from the helm, and then everybody else is a passenger.
Yeah.
But there's wires and cables and all kinds of things running all over the place in here, kind of trying to make all these other systems work. And that's why you have to have your friends there, your companions there to kind of manage the other systems, is because everything's kind of been jury rigged back together to make the vehicle work as close to intended as possible.
Who's jury? Just kidding.
You know, he's an interesting individual. I will say he's a strange guy. He's very ambiguous and mysterious. It's not a lot to say about him.
I thought his name was Jerry.
No, it's Jury. Actually, it is Jury.
Sure.
So you guys get in there, McGowan. You kind of like get down in the pilot's seat. It's you know, kind of you've sat in a few of these behind
Is it like a
ship
race
cockpits
car?
and stuff. No, it's not quite like a race car, but it does have like kind of a higher back to it. It doesn't have arms on the side, but and rather than it being like a wheel, it's more like
T-bar,
it's like two
bar?
it's like two kind of joysticks like connected together.
Okay.
Sort of a thing. And you know, that kind of gives you control over the thrust that you can use for the Mako and all these other things. So you get in, use your Omni tool, start it up. It's electric, so it doesn't make a lot of noise.
Woogie, woogie, woogie.
But you can kind of feel it sort of, there's a low hum, the electrical current kind of running through everything, and you know, the age of the vehicle showing a little bit. But you start to drive.
As long as it gets us from A to B.
So you begin heading out of town, following Alpha's instructions, who's able to maintain a good connection with his. Sorry, what's that?
What does my area look like?
It's your area and Alpha's area are both kind of off onto the side.
Okay.
So whereas McGowan is like centered up in the front, like in this very narrow windshield, you two are sitting back behind him. I kind of with your backs to each other, kind of looking at terminals and stuff.
Sick.
So as you guys kind of get settled in here, it's a little after 8 at this point, and you guys begin following the signal, and you go out through the gates and start driving down the road. And this isn't a paved road; it's kind of a flattened dirt track more than anything. A Darth track, whatever that is.
A Darth track.
Darth track. He's like it's Darth Vader in jogging shorts. Darth Vader with just like pants on.
Darth Vader with a mono-colored Adidas sweatsuit.
Yeah, she's got a fucking tracksuit on with the helmet and the cape though still.
Yes.
I want this. I don't know how I want this, but I want it.
Like a magnet or something.
Jesus Christ.
You guys travel along the road for like 10 minutes or so before, and one thing that you're able to do actually, and I'll have McGowan do this since you're looking out to the front. Make a perception check for me, please, sir.
Neato. Okay, I can do that.
Perception.
Ooh, that's not terrible. 15.
16?
Yeah.
Good enough. As you get out onto the road, you start to see the tracks from the other vehicles, you know, big wide treads in the snow. And 10 minutes or so after getting beyond the city limits, you notice these tracks veer off the road and into the wilderness, kind of through the stands of trees. You know, as you're getting further away from the city, obviously there's less.
Wants to go off
there's
the
less.
road.
There's less light, and the forest. You know, you're getting into the wilderness here, so there's lots of like kind of. They're not exactly like pine trees, but they sort of have a similar look to them. And they're tight together, but they're not so tight that you can't navigate the Mako through there. However, one second.
However, the Mako sucks, so we crashed right into a tree.
I did say yesterday when we were talking before we started this that I did for like 5 seconds consider making all skill checks on the Mako at disadvantage because it's such a piece of garbage in the game. But I figured like if the Mako's gonna be involved actually for a certain portion of the game, it should probably be fun and playable. So I didn't do that.
Preach.
So
he's a benevolent GM.
Okay. I need
Ryan.
Yeah,
You're
I need to
muted.
check. I
Can't
need
hear
to,
you.
You're muted. You've been talking for so long.
oh no.
Why am I playing a technology character when I suck at technology?
You look
As
like
I
you've
was
been having a
trying to
blast.
say, to be fair, playing Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2, I played both of them in a Mako vehicle like it was Skyrim. Like, if you try to jump enough, you will eventually find that one micro piece that you'll catch and allow you to go over the mountain with.
Yep. Yep,
I will
exactly.
spend an hour and a half
I don't think he
going
knows
up and
his
over that
voice mod is on.
mountainside versus just going around.
It's great. Mako is such trash. Okay, so what I need is driving through here. I need McGowan.
Hey, hold on. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
I need
That's bad, that's
McGowan
bad.
to make a vehicle handling check because you can navigate through, but not the trees are they're close together, so it's tricky. It requires a little bit of foresight and kind of paying close attention to what's up ahead.
So do I just roll a d20 and add my proficiency then, or is there?
Nope, it should be vehicle handling replaces animal handling, so there should be an actual skill for it.
Okay, I don't. Oh, it's dexterity. Sick. Not that great. 13.
13.
That's enough.
Okay. Okay, so for your first vehicle check, you're driving along, and it's very uneven here, and there are trees not everywhere once again, but it's enough where it probably won't take a whole heck of a lot for you to clip one if you're not paying super close attention. And you don't just clip one, you check one and run over it, and you can hear it dragging along the bottom of the Mako, and you are going to take 10 points. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong roll there. You're going to take 13
And so,
points
unlike Mass Effect
of
1, we will all die.
damage to the hull on the
Your
Mako.
voice mod is on.
The shields exist, but the shields are kinetic shields, so they only block projectiles and things that are moving faster. They're not like a universal force field.
It's been on the whole time.
So since McGowan, since you've got the helm,
Yeah.
you should keep track of the hull points and things.
So you said 13.
So yeah, the Mako should have 150 hull points and 50 shield points. So you take 13 hull points of damage from crashing into this tree and having it kind of scrape the underside and the suspension and stuff. But Mako's a hardy vehicle, so even though you all get kind of jostled and there is a pretty ugly sound, nothing seems to have completely broken or fallen apart, and the vehicle still seems to be perfectly drivable. Keep driving.
Good old
for
Mako hitting trees.
Another long while. With that perception check you rolled earlier, you're able to keep following. Well, obviously, you're able to follow the tracks because of the perception check, but also Alpha has the tracking chip. And so he's relaying information to you. After another 30 minutes, please make another vehicle handling check for me, McGowan.
Leaving you, McGowan.
Your belief is misplaced.
Oh, and I will say for these two, Torque, since you are outside, you can also roll a perception check for this. And if you do well enough, I will say that McGowan can roll at advantage because you're able to sort of feed him visual information over the radio.
Changing my dice roll.
Don't worry, I'll tell you when the next tree's coming up. 15.
I'm getting strong George of the Jungle vibes.
I can't hear anybody all of a sudden. Great.
Watch out for that tree.
Oh, Mike.
Oh, no.
Torque of
on
the Mako.
So strong as he can. Wait, no. All right, so school ground rules apply. If Mike can make it back within 10 minutes after the hour, Shit.
There we go. All right, I got it.
Back.
My headphones were acting up something weird. Okay, so McGowan,
That's fine. So we you were gone so long. We all decided that while you were gone, that we just defeated the objective.
I would like to keep moving here because we're kind of getting close to 9 o'clock. So
Sure.
McGowan, please roll that second vehicle handling check. And like, if you guys heard me, before you roll, McGowan, Torque, roll a perception check.
Oh, I rolled a 15. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I'll say McGowan, you can roll with advantage. Torque is able. He's outside, and you've got lights on the Mako, and so it's kind of illuminating the ground out in front. He's able to kind of call stuff out to you while you're driving, so you can roll at advantage for this check.
Nice.
14.
14. Once again, you're driving around, and Torque, you're kind of swiveling around in the gun, looking at stuff, and
there's a rock in the road there.
There is a rock in the road there, but there's also a rock in the road there, and you hit that one.
I'm sorry, I didn't tell you about the other rock.
Looking the wrong way.
And there.
So you take another. Oh, that die really just kept rolling there. You take another 16 points of damage from crashing into this rock, and the big heavy rubber tires on the Mako kind of bounce you off of it, but there's definitely like a creaking kind of scraping sound as you rush on by, and everybody kind of gets jostled, and you kind of feel like maybe you're gonna have a little bit of whiplash in the morning from that one.
Not Torque, he's just laughing his ass off.
I mean, that does sound in character.
McGowan, one final vehicle handling check, please. And it's the same thing. If Torque, you get a high enough roll.
You want me to roll again too?
Yep, you can. McGowan can roll at advantage if you get a high enough roll.
12 total.
12 total. It's too dark out here. Just make a straight roll for me, McGowan.
I can't see anything.
Oh my god.
What
did you get?
Got a 12.
Going.
Oh, hold on. 12 with modifier or without?
With modifiers.
This is why we can't have nice things.
Yeah, well, we don't. Anyway, this thing's a piece of shit.
So this one, you're kind of driving along, and all of a sudden one of the snow drifts in front of you. You kind of go to kind of hop over it, and you all of a sudden realize that the ground, this isn't a snow drift. This is like the side of a small cliff. And the Mako, you go flying off the edge, and it's like a 30-foot drop down. And the Mako can handle things like this, but this is an old vehicle.
Can our bodies?
And as you come down, hang on, just let me finish. Okay. And as you come down, you slam into the ground, and everything just creaks and grinds, and you take 27 points of damage from that.
Can I mean, you already said the damage, but I was going to ask if I could bump the jets on the Mako. Can I make it like a dexterity saving throw?
Let's see. I want to see if that's a part of the thing here. What I'll do is I will let you. Yeah, go ahead and make a dex saving throw. As you launch into the air, realize what's going on. You have a second to try and activate the thrusters to kind of slow your descent. And if you succeed, I'll half your damage.
I don't succeed because I got an 8.
No, you do not.
You suck.
You come crashing down. So you should be at 95 or 94 hit points. 94 hull points for the Mako.
So much for my proficiency, guys.
McGowan, has it been a while since you drove one?
You were going to say something like...
Oh, no. Oh. I was, but I can wait.
Oh. These things have always been difficult.
Yeah, it was like Ray snarkily from the electronics is like, this is a bit more turbulent than my last ride.
like I am actually honestly trying to not go metagaming, but the biggest frustration from Mass Effect 1 and 2 is the fucking Mako.
Yeah, dude, or the Hammerhead in Mass Effect 2, but yeah, they're not good.
It's
I feel
oh
like
my god.
I don't blame you at all for rolling this way, Dan, because like this is just the Mako.
There's a curse
Well-
associated with the Mako wherever it goes.
And like if anybody who's played Mass Effect 1 or Mass Effect 2,
we're getting close to 10 o'clock here now. We're getting to a good wrap up spot, so I want to just kind of get through here.
Yep.
Go ahead. So, however, you crash and you kind of wind up having to stop, and everybody kind of massage your jaws from your teeth crunching together.
Except me, I'm fine.
But a short distance away, if you keep driving, you come out into an open space, a frozen lake. And on the far side, you can see coming through the trees, or as you drive through the trees, lights. Not a vast expanse of lights, but a collection of them on the far side of the lake with the backdrop of a glacier kind of behind and wrapping around almost. You see the tracks of the vehicles and the tracking device that you've planted in leads ahead. Those vehicles are somewhere ahead in that grouping of lights over yonder. So what do you guys want to do? How do you proceed?
Hopefully without crashing.
Yeah, I mean that's.
Well, do we want to? Do we have to just because vehicle handling is involved now? So do we have to say things or specify like we slow down the vehicle? Like obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps me understand. But in this situation, I sort of presumed that you had kind of come to a stop to kind of look over the space. But if you want to do something, like that, just say it, and that way we can just.
Well, I just didn't want to be like. So now we start talking, and you're like, okay, and you barrel into the
No. I won't. I won't do that.
Of our party.
Yeah.
Mike has made a map and is keeping track of us on.
Yeah, how far we're going.
Based off the one who actually planted the tracking device and has the tracking, device that would follow with. Do we have where we're at? Is it a wide open field, or is there
Well, it's you're on the shore of a frozen lake, so it's a big open space. And it's not like there's nothing around you for miles. Again, there's this collection of lights, 400 or 500 feet away on the other side of this lake. This big glacier behind it, and then behind you are the trees, and the glacier kind of bleeds into the trees a little bit, and so you're sort of in this clearing, almost this big clearing between the glacier and the forest.
All right. So there at this point in time, we cannot approach this from any angle that would not be seen from significantly far away.
Make a perception check. Kind of looking around using the.
Can I as well? Yeah.
I'll say 2 people can, or 1 person at advantage for this.
I get a +5.
I do as well.
Oh.
Can I offer Torque advantage?
Yeah. 1 person, either 2 people can do it separately, or 1 at advantage.
Well, but it was
all right. So all right,
there's 3 involved.
Yeah, but Alpha suggested it, so we'll do Alpha first.
So okay, so with advantage, that is 19.
Oh, great. Well, you are able to see, after kind of scanning the horizon, on the right side, on your right side of the glacier, you see what looks like there might be a path, like a footpath, or at least something that you could use as a footpath. It's not like paved or anything, but you can kind of see a way winding up through the glacier to maybe get to a little better of a vantage point.
So heading to the acknowledgement of 3 to 4 degrees, we would be able to go through and approach this particular base at a much, much more advantage.
It doesn't look like you'd be able to drive the Mako up it, though. You'd have to go on foot.
No. I will pass on.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Can I just ask how far away, approximately?
The camp is about probably 500 feet away. It's a lake, but it's not like a massive lake.
Can I Are we out of sight of them currently? Yes.
It's dark and
dark.
nothing. I mean, you guys have only been out of the forest for a few
Well-
seconds here, but it doesn't look like anybody's coming your way or anything. There's no
Turn off
lights.
the
If I
lights and
can I
make
pull
it.
up my my
Yeah.
sniper rifle and use my scope at all to kind of like check it out?
Absolutely.
Finally,
Yeah.
we're getting the weapons out.
Yeah. So now you're making a perception check on the
Uh,
on the camp here, the fort or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So go for it.
23.
Nice. Right away, you can tell that you probably have a better line of sight from the vantage point that Alpha noticed. But you see there's activity here. Again, there's tons of lights on because it's dark outside, but at this point it's almost 10 o'clock. And there's nothing in the air, no ships flying overhead or anything like that. But you do see, looking through your scope, a few structures. There's 5 structures that appear to be completed and a handful of others that are sort of halfway through being built. They're all sort of in the prefab design, but with the colors of the LMD, so black and gold. You see the closest thing to you actually is a small perimeter patrol. It looks like it's 2 LMD troopers with a Varan, each one with a Varan kind of on like a hard light chain sort of thing connected to their Omni tools. You see entering into one of the incomplete buildings holding a big kind of bundle of like what looks sort of like metal studs or something in its arms is a massive construction mech. It's a variant on one of the bigger, more heavy-duty combat mechs that are often used by mercenary groups or things with a big budget. But this is sort of a construction industrial variant. It doesn't have like a big missile launcher on one arm. It looks like it has like a welding torch and like a grabbing claw. And it's kind of carrying this big bundle of building materials into one of these unfinished buildings. Behind that mech, again, kind of with this Omni tool out in front, looks like it's an engineer or a tech of some kind in LMD armor colors. You see, there's another. You see two buildings that will be identical when the second one is finished, but they look like garages or something. And you actually see out in front of the completed version the 3 vehicles from the caravan that you tracked out here. They're between those 2 buildings is an incomplete like landing pad. Presumably, it's sort of this shorter, flat structure. It doesn't have windows or anything. It's not tall enough to have doors or anything, so it looks like it's like a landing pad for ships coming in from orbit or something.
GM question.
Yeah.
Are we playing that we have the ability to communicate with each other?
Yeah, your Omni tools would have
through Omni tools.
Yep, your
Okay.
Omni tools and your helmet would have like a link to a helmet headset or something like that.
Okay. I'm wondering if we should leave at least one person with the car, but continue what you were saying, Mike.
Yeah, so it's this camp that's sort of half built. You see, again, those 2 guards. You do see, kind of peering through your scope, the heat signatures showing, because this isn't like a glass scope. This is like infrared, high-tech stuff. You can see a few more heat signatures scattered in the camp, presumably more guards with like Varan. And you do see actually 6 heat signatures over by the vehicles, which, because they're electric, they are they're showing a small heat signature, but it's not like the bright red and orange of the humanoids that are standing next to them. Yeah.
So-
the garages are out in front of the front doors are closed on it, and it looks like there's a couple of small buildings that you can't really tell what they are by looking at them, and then behind all that is the glacier with a few more unfinished buildings right in front of it.
Elorea, how many units total?
She would be able to see with that roll. It would be you would see
6 by the cars.
6 by the 6. You can't tell exactly what they are because you're using infrared, so it doesn't really have like lots of like. You can't see any like insignias or anything, but it looks like there are 6 people. Yeah, it looks like there are 6 people over by the vehicles. There's at least
But she also is like
There's
spoiler
a
alert, trained
patrol
sniper, so.
of 2 guards with each with a Varen, and then it looks like there's you would see that there's you would see a second patrol as well.
So there's like 3 total patrols, one by the
two,
vehicle.
two patrols, and then what are presumably the 6 occupants of the vehicles.
Okay.
From earlier, and each of the 2 patrols also has 2 Varen with it, and the patrols are made up of 2 guys. So 2 patrols of 4 units each.
So 2 patrols of 4 units each. Torque.
You also saw the engineer.
6 others.
But the mech. I explained obviously what our GM just did, where I explained the vehicles and the people that are over there and kind of the spatial situationing of where everyone is. And I don't necessarily know if it's the right idea to split up, but stealth does seem like the appropriate response to this mission, probably.
Seems like one person should stay with the Mako, and once the shit starts, they can drive in. But we should approach silently.
Given the current situation, the chances of somebody else leaving the base to take the Mako is 0.0001%. However, the chances of somebody leaving the base to try to radio for help from any other source is 0.01%. So all of us assaulting together would probably lower circumstances.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just concerned about having the Mako there with us in case anyone tries to make a run for it.
we can also just approach on foot.
Yeah.
Given the current circumstances of biologicals in this situation and protecting the base, I would think that their particular paychecks would revolve around them protecting the base and not running away from said base.
Take a shit, Mako.
Yeah, and a reminder too that all 3 of those vehicles have guns on them too, so they're
yeah, they have better
vehicles. Yeah, if we took the Mako to the base, I think we just kind of lose the Mako.
Given at this point in time, we have gathered the information and coordinates needed to accomplish the mission, so we can either A, return back given the information and take the minimal payment required, and or B, assault said circumstance where everyone within said circumstance would defend said circumstances based off of their own particular paychecks, and from there we would kill them and or they would kill us, and given that they would not kill us, we would gather additional paycheck.
I'm gonna go with the we kill them plan. Should we take off on foot?
I think that's, if we're going to fight them, that's probably our best course of action.
This unit is not against this plan.
Enough talking, let's go.
Okay. So, as you guys
it's a good plan too.
So as you guys Sorry, just trying to wrap up. So
no, I know. I just meant none of the guys asked her at all. They were like,
we didn't
trying so hard.
We didn't ask McGowan either.
So
Work just starts walking.
Yeah, we will. So you guys kind of have come up with some kind of semblance of a plan here. You guys will have a couple weeks to kind of talk things over in our message group and stuff, because we are going to call it a night there. In the dark, cold wilderness of Omara, outside of the camp on the edges of a frozen lake and a big glacier. And that's where we'll pick up in a couple of weeks.
This was really fun.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to do the vehicle driving. At least get a little taste of it.
Yes.
I wish I had rolled better.
Oh my god, I'm so excited for the next session to start with the combat.
Yeah.
I agree. This particular session is what the biologicals would say would be, quote unquote, fun.
Well, that's everything for tonight. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks, same day, same channel, same time, 7
Yes.
p.m. with more Mass Effect Aftermath. Thank you to my players for being here and having come prepared and being able to get through this smoothly. And I'm excited for next time.
Join us next week while we assault the base.
In the meantime, there's all kinds of content on here on Unknown World United. There's tabletop games, RPGs, board games, wrestling podcasts, all sorts of stuff. And if any of that stuff sounds great to you guys, feel free to check it out. I know
Hit that
that
subscribe button.
Bad Luck and Red both have things they can plug here if they want to. You should check those things out as well. They've got some cool projects and stuff going on.
Go ahead, Red. You first.
Oh yeah, just simply my name is Red Herring and I'm a cosplay lover and variety streamer, and we stream every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Wednesday I have a true crime show where I review cults that I would probably have joined or serial killers that would have maybe killed me or not. And Saturday we dance. And Sunday we play a little Stardew or Sims, in which we also are building a cult. We don't want to have a cult at my channel, but that's what's going on. So come visit, hang out.
You are now a cult leader, whether you want it or
Too
not.
late. Too late. I'm already a member.
It's Red_Herring, and the I is a 1. So I'd love to see you there.
Great. Bad Luck.
Cool. I go by Bad Luck FPV. You can find me on Instagram and YouTube, where I get into all sorts of different adventures with this high-speed freestyle racing drone.
When he's not crashing it into parking ramps and stuff.
While I am crashing it into parking ramps and stuff. Thank you very much.
Well, there you go. But that
was only 3 times. Come on, man.
Oh, that's been way more than that.
You have no idea.
So that's everything. Again, thanks everybody for watching. Thank you for tuning in from wherever parts you've come through, for catching in on VOD.
Thank you.
We'll be back in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody.
We
Much
love
love.
you.
Good night.